Oh my god, you holy shit.
Good.
One,
Yes, good.
two, do it. What the what? No. Trigger, where you going?
Are videos going on TikTok where there are people with human faces and then they peel their faces back and it shows you like an alien, right? Look at this one over here. Look at this, y'all. Are they getting us ready for something? Look at this. Look at that.
The alcohol industry is crashing as it loses $830 billion as younger generations have decided to stop drinking. It says that over the past 4 years, they have lost this much money because millennials and Gen Z have decided to reduce drinking altogether.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry. I'm gonna break it down for you guys. We talk about the most glitch and cupidest videos on the net, on the web, that's gonna make us question everything. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say a word for y'all. Let's seek the truth.
Is learned today. Voyager 1 will officially be one light day away from Earth next year on November 13th, 2026, 49 years after it was launched. Villains are not allowed to use Apple products in any movie. This is a deal that Apple gives when they do an exclusive to have Apple products inside of a movie. They have to either be the protagonist or a neutral character. According to this study, 85% of the things that we worry about never actually happen. So basically everything. And I bet the other 15% is like stupid things. There was a man in Kenya who faked being a lawyer and won all 26 of his cases before he was arrested. Liam Neeson said that a horse in a new film that he's working on knew him from a different movie they filmed together. I'm actually laughing because there's a meme here as well that says, Liam Neeson walks onto set. The horse says, there he is. Why am I laughing so hard at that? That's it. I'm officially an old man laughing at the dumbest memes on the internet.
The reason The Simpsons knew so much is because they were on the Epstein list.
Creator of Simpsons was in the Epstein league. I couldn't even fix my lips to say it. Was in the Epstein list, boy. He ain't predicting the future, nigga. He ain't a sidekick, nigga. Nigga, he in the group chat. Nigga, he in the group chat. Nigga.
That's how he knew so much.
He knew it. Nigga, they talking about these. All this shit is planned and orchestrated. You know what I noticed? Conspiracy theorists are only conspiracy theorists, nigga. Till the fucking truth come out, nigga. These motherfuckers been hitting that bitch on the noggin all day long, nigga.
True.
So, nigga, I feel like goddamn Sherlock Holmes, nigga. I've been saying this fuck nigga was a part of them. Ain't no fucking way you just guessing the Twin Towers getting blown up and put it into a cartoon game. You in a motherfucking group chat.
And as you all know, we are a few days into the year 2026. And that's not stopping the weird and crazy things that are being captured on Ring doorbell cameras. For example, in Missouri, just a couple of days ago, a large explosion took place in the sky, giving such a big flash that it put the camera into night mode. You heard what I just said. No one knows what it was, but it was witnessed by many. Take a look at this doorbell cam, and then you tell me what you think it was. Look at this. You hear it?
Whoa.
What the heck was that? I went ahead and screen grabbed it and tried to blow it up as best as I could. It looks like a big flash of light, but what exploded over Missouri? A lot of people saw it, and different Ring doorbell cameras also captured it. I ran the video past Gronk, and this is exactly what Gronk had to say. That looks like a bright meteor, often called a fireball. Okay, there you go. Streaking through the atmosphere, it aligns with reports from January 3rd, 2026 in Missouri. So there you have it. You just read what I read. The claim is through Gronk that it was a fireball that was reported. Let's take one more look at the video.
Could be orb.
Either way, this was pretty unique and scary all at the same time. Let me know if you live in Missouri and you came across this or you saw it with your own eyes. Hit me up in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
Imagine falling into the water with this, because yes, they put a massive Pennywise head of a statue in the water in Madrid, Spain. Oh my god, this is actually really, really creepy. I am not scared of it. I'm not scared of Pennywise whatsoever, but this is actually terrifying, and I'm just imagining falling in with it, and especially at night. Oh my god. They did it for promo for it. Welcome to Derry, which, by the way, the best show that has come out in years, if not a decade. But yeah, I need to know how y'all feel about this thing, because this is horrific. I did not know about this until someone commented on my video that I posted yesterday and was like, look this up, and I saw it and I pooped. Look at how Sinister Bro looks out on that water. That is so creepy. Just imagine like you're walking by for like a lovely stroll and you look out and you see that. Imagine you see it at night too. That would be so scary. Apparently they had a whole bunch of red balloons all around it at the time. I just... How are we feeling, friends? If you watched it, Welcome to Derry, let me know what you thought of it. And also, if you are scared of things in water, I have a whole bunch of videos like it. It means you have submechanophobia if you're scared of this.
Speaking of sharks, did you see that great white shark that washed up on the shore of North Carolina?
No.
Dude, it looks photoshopped.
Andrew sent it to me and Andy this morning.
Megalodon?
Dude,
not that big, but it's big.
It's like Universal that they used to have hanging up by Jaws.
Yeah.
Looks just like that.
Maybe it is.
For me, it's like just the sheer girth of that thing.
Can you see that?
Throw it to me.
Yes.
8.
Oh my god.
Scroll through it.
Isn't that crazy?
And
it
I
literally
said,
just ate something. You could tell it's all in its mouth.
I think because it was like struggling. Maybe it's running away from the males.
Yeah.
Maybe it was.
Was it alive when it was...
Yeah, they were trying to push
it back in.
So it's alive.
Yeah, but I said I wouldn't push that back in.
You need to.
Why? Look at that.
Yeah.
What if you immediately...
No, eat the whole piece.
Her entire moral.
Push it in, like, I was your friend.
I dare you.
I tried to help you.
That was the sketchiest toss back.
Yeah, so we'll show the pictures.
Sharks are so scary,
Well,
man.
as we're talking,
Yeah,
we'll show the pictures.
Sharks are
because there's
so
multiple pictures.
stinking scary. That I didn't know those great whites, because like when you hear East Coast, it's a lot of smaller sharks.
Yeah.
You get bit, but on the West Coast, that's when you like if you get it by a shark, you're over there.
Yeah.
Over here, it's like you'll bit, you stitches, whatever. But that's North Carolina. That's right up the road.
Yeah.
That's the cold.
Huge, bro.
The colder the water, the bigger the shark.
Everybody needs to start paying attention to what's about to transpire. Trump says cartels are running Mexico. Something's going to have to be done. What's the first thing that popped in your mind when you read this? Venezuela. We all are seeing today what just happened with Venezuela. And we all saw the reports on why he said that he did this in Venezuela. He had a lot to say about what the president is doing or wasn't doing, but we all know the truth. Now, the whole thing about that is, forget what he was saying. The whole thing is there were actions done. So, do this statement right here make you think that something's going to happen in Mexico? Because this was the same type of language he used against Venezuela. You have people in Mexico on high guard alert because they like, if he's willing to do this to Venezuela, no telling. The president of Mexico made it very clear. She said, the cartel is not running Mexico. And she said, foreign interventions is not welcome here. Start of the new year, war.
Now know.
Starting the new year, bro, it's crazy. Got things popping off, man. Buckle up, Seekers, man. I think this year gonna be in for a big one.
What caused the fire that killed over 40 people on New Year's Eve? Videos of the exact moment this fire started have begun circulating on social media, and it shows young people recording the fire, still singing along to the music and partying, while one of them tries to put it out. Little did they know at the time just how quickly this fire was about to spread.
They're still dancing.
In other images, you can see sparklers from champagne bottles being lifted in the air, igniting this soundproofing foam material, which lined huge portions of the ceiling. And eventually, once people realized how serious this was, everyone tried to rush outside at once, which meant people started getting stuck in the doorways, and many tried to force their way out of windows by smashing them with chairs and tables. And what makes this even more tragic is that this bar was the only one in this Swiss ski resort to allow those under the age of 18 to enter, meaning that patients as young as 15 are being treated
report severe burns, and many of the victims who have passed away are between only 15 and 25 years old.
Somebody captured a photo of a giant humanoid creature with wings flying around in lightning bolts. And people are saying that this is the old Native American legend called the Thunderbird. It's known as a giant, colossal, supernatural bird, whose wing beats create thunder, and flashing lights summon lightning. What would you do if you stepped outside your house and you looked up in the sky and seen one of these? This looks like something from Stranger Things, y'all. I would think I slipped realities and ended up in the upside down world. This creature is seen as a guardian against evil forces. The Thunderbird represents immense strength, authority, and the life-giving gift of rain. While its presence brings cleansing and renewal, it can also unleash a violent storm. Stories of the Thunderbirds appeared amongst many tribes, all the way from the Pacific Northeast to the Great Plains, each offering unique variations, including tales of shapeshifters and gifting of sacred objects like the peace pipe. So let me know in the comments, if you walked out your house and you've seen something like this, what would be the first thought to go in your mind? Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, y'all. Peace.
I'm saying we out, bro. If I walk outside, man, it's thunder and lightning. I don't know why you're outside in the first place, bro. But if I see a big ass bird, I'm saying, well, I'm going right back into the house, bro. You ain't getting me today, man. Look how they look like a pterodactyl, bro. That they're gonna swoop you up and pick you up.
Have a huge problem eventually when AI is so smart that it can guess everyone's password. Oh, and I could be like, watch the whole catalog of Jumpers Jump based on how he talks and speaks about his life. Tell me what his password is. Oh my goodness, that's raps. It could get close. Yeah, no, you know what I'm 100%. If you have that much of an idea of how someone interacts with people, conversates, interest, likes, whatever, we'll be able to kind of narrow down a little bit on where it would be.
Yeah, and you know how those men that have like the one password for everything? Yeah. Once the AI gets one, fam, actually raps because you have your bank, your PayPal, everything.
Oh my.
Scary.
Oh. So you're telling me that this whole time that every part of my face connects to a part in my body, and that the reason my forehead keeps breaking out is because my digestive system is stressing out? You motherfuckers. So if your cheeks are inflamed, that's lung and blood sugar issues. And when my chin won't clear up, that's my hormones completely out of balance. And if I continue to use products, facial cleansers on my already broken skin, I risk completely destroying my whole skin barrier to the point of no return.
Before every new year, the same name seems to resurface. She was a psychic who never wrote anything down, and she's actually been dead for decades. Her name was Baba Vanga, and she seems to resurface every year, not for specific events, but for patterns. Supporters of hers point to symbolic warnings later linked to real events, like a Russian submarine disaster before the Kursk tragedy, steel birds over America, and decades of Middle East instability. None of it was specific, but there are interesting correlations for sure. Now, she didn't predict moments. She warned about conditions, collapsing systems, shifting power, intelligence that we don't fully understand or comprehend yet. You know, and we've got AI advancing faster than regulation. We've got governments admitting that they don't understand everything that's going on in our skies. And we've got societies questioning reality itself. She didn't specifically predict this year, but she may have predicted this phase. So as 2025 comes to a close, I'd say the question isn't what will 2026 bring, it's whether we're ready for the world that we're already entering. Let me ask you, does this moment feel different to you? Let me know. And Happy New Year, everybody.
Does it? Her name Baba Vanga, it sounds a lot like, John Wick Baba Yaga, bro. I don't know if that's where they took out the name from, bro, but it's eerie. And I'm about to say, I seen her face, on some TikTok clips of I've always wanted to know her backstory. So she was like predicted things. I guess what will come to pass. Interesting.
Oh my God! Holy shit!
1, 2, do it. What the what? No. Trigger, where you going?
The alcohol industry is crashing as it loses $830 billion as younger generations have decided to stop drinking. It says that over the past 4 years, they have lost this much money because millennials and Gen Z have decided to reduce drinking altogether due to health concerns, wellness trends, weight loss drugs, cannabis, and non-alcoholic options. I actually like this idea that the younger generation have decided to reduce drinking. We finally realizing the effects of drinking and how bad it is. Hope y'all realize this. Alcohol is the biggest drug killer in America, I believe it is. Yeah, people don't be thinking alcohol is a drug, but alcohol is most definitely a drug. And the industry losing all this money, $830 billion, they're losing close to $1 trillion because people are starting to realize that drinking ain't worth it. Crazy to me how people be actually thinking that alcohol is like the end all be all. They be thinking like in order for you to have fun, you gotta drink alcohol. But it's like, there's other ways to have fun. See, that's why I don't drink or smoke or do any of that, man, because that stuff can really fuck up your health. And I'm glad that my generation is finally waking up to this.
I don't drink, I don't smoke either, bro. So there's ways, man, but to have fun, but you don't have to drink or smoke just to have a good time, bro. That just tells who you are as a person, man, if you think that you need those things to have fun. And the fact that, man, bro, it's caused the industry to crash, they don't like that, man, because at the end of the day, it's all about that dollar bill, bro. Shout out to Gen Z, though. They ain't drinking, man. That's crashing the market. I wonder what else is going to replace it, man. That's falling off. What else is going to take its spot?
When our skin turns green or when we wear copper or fake jewelry. Watch this.
So when you turn green from wearing that necklace or that ring or that bracelet or that watch to them earrings, you're exposing your true skin color.
Stay with me. Melanin and plants go through the same photosynthesis. We absorb the sun the same as plants do. The only difference we have with plants is that they have magnesium and we have iron. Now we know that our bodies are made up of a lot of water, almost 80%, 75. A lot of oxygen. What color does iron take when it's in water? That would explain why we are copper-colored beings. Now when a leaf dies or falls in frequency, it turns the same color of our copper-colored skin. It loses its green color. They also try to say that the green veins we see in our skin is just a trick of light. Now some babies are also born with green skin patches on them. And they didn't have no fake jewelry. And have y'all found it fascinating that babies don't have to drink water? You almost have to force them to drink it. Look, top 10 tips to get your kids to drink water, to get them more exposed to this oxygen. And some people say that could be the reason why our bodies age. Because DNA passes down and stays alive forever because it's the magnesium that holds it together and keeps it alive, protects it. Now plants are green, they don't have iron, they have magnesium. Now we know in Egypt that Osiris is green. Yeah, green skin, immortality, magnesium. Even when we come out the womb, it says our bodies aren't suited for water for several months. Also, they can't tell where our genes originate, the civilizations that we built, the knowledge that we had. It is the oldest human DNA strain on Earth. What's in our skin is found in space. Y'all can say I'm crazy, but y'all know some of these aliens are different colors. We probably came to this planet with green skin. But y'all stay dangerous and let me know what y'all think.
Yo, pause. I know what you're thinking. That's an alien. We call this a salp, and low-key, I don't think they're from this planet. They move around and eat by contracting their muscles to draw water into their bodies through an oral siphon, and shoot that water out from the back, which propels them forward. They're neither fish nor jellyfish, but a special type of animal called a tunicate, also officially known as sea squirts. Soft, sticky, and always wet, they rely on their muscular grip to feed on tiny phytoplankton as their primary food source, which is honestly the least interesting thing about them, because they also have the ability to clone themselves, with a single salp capable of replicating itself into a long chain containing dozens of them tens of meters long. And when linked, they move in complete sync with each other, each salp reacting to the other's rhythms within milliseconds. More like neurons in a brain rather than individual creatures. Some biologists speculate this insane coordination may be a sort of primitive distributed intelligence, where many salps connected together all retain a singular consciousness. And they also have crazy regenerative abilities, with even a tiny piece of one capable of growing into a complete new salp. And as you can tell, they're also almost completely transparent. You can see all of their internal organs from the outside, practically invisible in our oceans, and before you say anything...
So they got videos on here of people ripping off their face, right? Then showing that they ate.
I want y'all to go check out that video, all right? There are videos going on TikTok where there are people with human faces and then they peel their faces back and it shows you like an alien, right? Now, on the bottom of the screen, it says AI generated. But did you guys know that you can actually click it to make you think it is AI? Y'all know that? These videos look real, y'all. These videos look real. Have you seen the one with Jake Paul? No? Have you seen it?
You can look at this one over here. Look at this, y'all. Are they getting us ready for something? Look at this. Look at that. Look at this one. Look at this shit, y'all. These videos, look at this. Why are they uploading so many of them? Why are they putting so many of them, y'all? And here's the one with Jake Paul. And why are they picking on Jake Paul all of a sudden? What is this? Remember, there's a reason why they came out with demon face syndrome, y'all. They were telling us something is coming. Like, we about to see these people for who they really are. There's a reason why we were seeing these glitches in real time. Remember LeBron James? That was like the latest one, right? At the Olympics. I just posted a video with a bunch of them the other day. But yeah, I think they're getting us ready for something, y'all. Let me know down in the comments below, y'all. The shit is here. Let's get it. Peace in.
Fam too?
Hey! What are you doing? Oh, what? Oh my god, I'm gonna get in trouble.
Strange videos that will creep you out. Just a couple weeks ago, a security camera in a bar in a small town in England captured something on camera that is leaving people really confused. The footage shows a man sitting at the bar talking to a few bartenders. Nothing seems out of the ordinary until you look at his drink. Seemingly out of nowhere, his drink gets pushed over, and if you watch it again in slow motion, it seems to be pushed by something. The bar in this video is over 167 years old, and the store owner claims that his restaurant's been haunted for as long as he can remember. What do you guys think? Comment below.
Could be an edit. Well,
you won't believe how much unseen footage there is of Ruby Franke and everything she did not want us to see in Hulu's new docuseries, Devil in the Family, The Fall of Ruby Franke. In this new series, raw footage has been exposed that never made it on her YouTube channel. We will be hearing from her two eldest children and her husband.
Fake being happy. Okay? I don't know if I can right now.
This three-part series exposes various moments where Ruby becomes extremely abusive towards her children, forcing them to say and do things that they didn't feel comfortable with, only for the purpose of filming content for her channel. It's very unsettling, and it makes you wonder how bad it must have been at home when the cameras were off. Now, things only got worse when Ruby met Jody Hildebrand, and everything took a very dark turn. As their relationship got stronger, Ruby and Jody began believing these crazy conspiracies that the world was going to end, and that Jody was the chosen one. And they talk about it on the three-part series, Devil in the Family, The Fall of Ruby Franke, which is now out on Hulu.
Here are the craziest things
where
that
those
ever
content
happened
creators
at Walmart. So one day, an 18-year-old was craving milk. So he decided to steal not one, not two, but 26 gallons of milk from Walmart. Oh, and he did this dressed as a cow. And if that doesn't sound weird enough to you, you'd be surprised to learn that even though he made himself stand out in the cow costume, he managed to not get caught on the spot. Next, on Black Friday in 2013, a customer and his son were freaking out in Walmart because they thought that his ex-wife was possessed by a demon. And so they locked her in their car and set up an exorcism in the parking lot by throwing sacred oil at her, which might have been the reason why they ended up divorcing. Also, back in 2013, a 16-year-old was going into labor, and she gave birth in a Cannon City Walmart bathroom.
Now, there was panic for a moment because the baby wasn't breathing. But luckily, one of the store's employees were CPR certified and they revived the baby. I guess Walmart really can help you live better. And finally, in 2011, at a Walmart in South Carolina, customers witnessed a man named Avery Blandon end the life of his wife, Lilia Blandon, while she was working inside the store's bank. Avery stabbed her multiple times and she sadly passed away on the way to the hospital. He then tried to escape the scene, but he crashed his SUV and was caught by police. But what's weird is that the store stayed open during the investigation, only in Walmart.
You won't be able to stare at this.
Not surprising. Like morphine. Y'all saw that too, right? Her hair was like morphing into something else. If you stare hard enough, you can notice the change.
Here's some of the greatest conspiracy theories of all time. Part 4. The Grinch has a well-known backstory about hating Christmas. However, eventually in the movie, his heart grows 3 sizes and he loves Christmas once again. But this story may continue longer than we think. It is clear that the Grinch isn't exactly right in the head, but during one of the Grinch's wacky stunts, he could have gotten a head injury. This injury would later take a toll on him as he grew old and caused him to lose his memory. After him and his dog died, they were given a new life in a realm called Halloween Town, where they now lived as Jack Skellington and Zero. He later reunites with his love for Christmas, just like he had when he was alive. Both eventually wear a Santa suit, both deliver presents, and both have a dog companion. It may be possible that How the Grinch Stole Christmas and The Nightmare Before Christmas are tied together.
Are they? Those two plots interconnected?
Morbid Facts, Part 545. Last year, Wisconsin elementary school teacher Madison Bergman faced 10 felony charges for having an inappropriate relationship with her 5th grade student. Investigators were shown disturbing screenshots of their text conversations, in which Bergman would talk about how much she enjoyed making out with the young student. The two also exchanged over 100 letters, love notes, and artwork over several months. She was reportedly still graping him up to 3 months before she was supposed to get married to her fiancé. Bergman has pleaded not guilty to all 10 counts. Ohio sex worker Linda Lassess prompted a multi-state public health alert after police discovered she'd slept with more than 200 clients while knowing she was HIV positive. Officers worked hard to contact her clients and suggest getting tested so they could seek the proper treatment. Randy Woodfield was drafted by the NFL to play for the Green Bay Packers in 1974, but was soon cut from the team due to a series of indecent exposure arrests. He would go on to become the I-5 killer and is believed to have been responsible for over 40 murders throughout the early 1980s.
The more you know.
So you like anything creepy, but have you heard of the case of Celine Delgado? There is a television network in Spanish called Canal 5, and they had a segment called Al Servicio a la Comunidad. This segment would come on around midnight, and it would show missing people from the 90s to 2000s. In 2001, a photo of a missing girl named Celine Delgado Lopez, who was 18, showed up on this segment. There wasn't much information about this girl besides her name, age, and location of where she had went missing, which was in Mexico City. Some people found this odd because other people who were listed as missing on this segment had a full bio with greater detail. Viewers started to feel uneasy while watching this segment because as soon as her photo popped up on the screen, the TV channel freezes for a few moments and then happens.
Selena Delgado López se ignora su paradero desde el 28 de mayo del año 2000.
Fast forward to 2020, and there was a Facebook page with the name Celine Delgado Lopez. Many users who were familiar with this missing girl started to freak out because they realized that they were already added as her friend and couldn't remember remember adding her in the first place or even accepting the request. To make matters worse, they didn't even have the option to unfriend her, and many started to think that this Facebook page was haunted by Selena Gallo, while others thought it was just a complete hoax. Let me know what you guys think about this.
Okay. Creepy. The Five Nights at Freddy, but I've seen those animatronics, bro. Like
Here
that.
are the strangest things that were found in the middle of nowhere. Back in 2014, two German friends were walking through a forest that they used to play in as kids, when suddenly they noticed two pipes sticking out of the ground. They continued to walk until they stumbled upon a hidden doorway that went underground. They entered the creepy corridors until they stumbled into a room that was flooded and had a weird looking machine. That's when they realized they were in an abandoned control bunker that was used by the Soviets during the Cold War. Next, in 2016, a group was flying in a helicopter over the forests of West Russia, and they spotted another helicopter that was abandoned in a swamp. This turned out to be an Mi-6 model that originated in 1956, and it was the largest and fastest helicopter at the time. It was revealed that the helicopter had been there since 1981, when it traveled from Moscow and it crashed because of engine failure. But thankfully, the crew of it did live to tell the tale. And finally, on Route 90 in Texas, you can find a Prada store that's surrounded by nothing but desert. This was actually art that was made back in 2005 and cost $120,000 to make. Inside the store, there's even real products from their 2005 Prada collection. But unfortunately, the doors aren't real, so you can't actually buy them.
This new true crime docuseries
Man, that's
is so creepy
weird.
and bizarre, and it had me hooked from the moment it started. This is like Unsolved Mysteries meets X-Files, and it might be the greatest thing I've seen all year. Out There, Crimes of the Paranormal features 8 true crime stories that have some strange and creepy connection to something paranormal. If you love documentaries, make sure to hit follow because I post daily and you'll never miss out on what to watch. Whether it's someone getting drove to madness from believing in something paranormal like lizard people and committing a horrific crime, or people blaming things like murders on something paranormal like witches. It's fascinating and yet very scary, and I think a part of the reason why it's so scary is because the filmmakers did a really good job of grounding this series in reality. Out There, Crimes of the Paranormal is releasing exclusively on Hulu, so if you want to see this, make sure to head over there and check it out. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments.
People are freaking out realizing what happened on this film. Whatever you do not watch it. There's a lot of disturbing films out there you've probably all heard about. The reason this is so disturbing is because it's real and because of what happened. This movie released in 1980 and was instantly banned in many countries. Essentially found footage. They find this tape which contains all of these videos on it which are messed up. When I say the name, it will get taken down, but that's it. Shortly after the movie came out, the director was arrested and actually charged. Let me explain. Basically, the movie was so realistic, the scenes in it actually looked like it was real life. Now, I'm not going to talk about the things that happened, but you can probably guess. It's pretty brutal. There's lots of things that involve animals, humans, and stuff I can't even talk about. When it came out, many critics and people viewing it thought it was genuinely real. But Roggetto Deodato, the director, was arrested and eventually actually charged with murder, saying that he had actually unalived the crew who were the actors in the film. But they were able to prove that all of the people who were in the film, the actors, etc., were perfectly fine and he was let off. It was a film, no one was actually unalived. But unfortunately, the things that happened to animals in the film was real, like they were actually extremely harmed during the making of the film. Some problems there, and this has of course caused a lot of controversy over the years. A lot of people still say that this movie is cursed, and if you watch it, you're watching real stuff happen. It's definitely an extremely disturbing watch, so I don't recommend it.
I have
Thanks for pulling me off.
in my eyes right now. People always say, like, Appalachia, #1 rule, you don't go out after dark, right? Even I know that. They say you don't look to the woods. That's cardinal rule, right? You don't know what's looking back. I found this video, I'm gonna play it for you. It's not even really a video, it's more of like an audio clip of somebody who was in the woods at night. He recorded, the only way I could describe it was disembodied screaming throughout the forest.
We hear something.
Animals with Down syndrome.
Do they? Or are those pictures edited?
Morbid Facts, Part 546. In 1983, Carla Faye Tucker murdered a couple with a pickaxe while attempting to rob them, striking each of them more than 20 times, and later saying she felt a sexual thrill with each blow. Tucker was sentenced to death for her crimes, but after converting to Christianity during her time in prison, there was a worldwide campaign to spare her life, even involving Pope John Paul II and the brother of one of her victims. However, Texas Governor George Bush ultimately blocked the appeal, saying, "The gender of the murderer did not make a difference to the victims," and Tucker was executed by lethal injection in 1998. South Carolina woman Mary Wilson was using her blow dryer when she suddenly passed out with her hand on top of it. The dryer continued blowing hot air directly onto her skin for at least 20 minutes, causing third-degree burns all the way to the bone. Wilson was rushed to the hospital, where doctors found nerve damage so severe they had to amputate her entire hand. The yellow outline is the size of SeaWorld's parking lot. The green dot is where orcas will spend their entire lives.
Didn't they like shut down SeaWorld, I heard, because of, you know, the horror stories behind the orcas and how they just like stayed in captivity? I've never been there. Maybe Seeker's been to see
Here are the craziest things to ever happen at Walmart. So one day, an 18-year-old was craving milk. So he decided to steal not one, not two, but 26 gallons of milk from Walmart. Oh, and he did this dressed as a cow. And if that doesn't sound weird enough to you, you'd be surprised to learn that even though he made himself stand out in the cow costume, he managed to not get caught on the spot. Next, on Black Friday in 2013, a customer and his son were freaking out in Walmart because they thought that his ex-wife was possessed by a demon. And so they locked her in their car and set up an exorcism in the parking lot by throwing sacred oil at her, which might have been the reason why they ended up divorcing. Also, back in 2013, a 16-year-old was going into labor, and she gave birth in a Cannon City Walmart bathroom. Now, there was panic for a moment because the baby wasn't breathing, but luckily, one of the store's employees were CPR certified and they revived the baby. I guess Walmart really can help you live better. And finally, in 2011, at a Walmart in South Carolina, customers witnessed a man named Avery Blandon end the life of his wife, Lilia Blandon, while she was working inside the store's bank. Avery stabbed her multiple times, and she sadly passed away on the way to the hospital. He then tried to escape the scene, but he crashed his SUV and was caught by police. But what's weird is that the store stayed open during the investigation, only in Walmart.
A horror movie that is based
the
off
money.
of a Stephen King story that was written and directed by Longlegs writer and director Osgood Perkins, that was produced by Saw legend James Wan himself. It's called The Monkey, and it actually comes out next month, February 21st, and my friends and I got invited to go see it early at a private screening. And let me just say, the kills were hilarious, they were very over the top and wacky the entire time. We were having a ton of fun. There was also a few fun cameos sprinkled in throughout the movie, which I really enjoyed, but I won't spoil that for you. We had a blast. Thank you, Neon, for setting it all up.
This is why it's always a bad idea to go to graveyards at night. Urban explorer Frank from Franco TV explored a graveyard in Peru. As he explores the area, he sees a group of people far in the corner. Not knowing what's going on and worried for his safety, he hides in a tomb waiting for them to leave. 30 minutes gone by, they turn off the lights and begin to leave. Scared someone may still be there, Frank waits 30 more minutes. As he makes his way to the tomb, what he finds is disturbing. Frank finds a circle of candles and what looks like a voodoo doll next to a star. He also finds a container with unknown contents. As Frank tries to communicate with the spirits in that area, he hears laughing coming from one of the graves. Worried for his safety, he decides to leave and says he doesn't want any problems or to be followed by anything there. As Frank makes his way out, he sees something horrifying. What looks like a person can be seen peeking at Frank from the corner of the tomb. But when he checks around the tomb, there's no one there.
He's a brave soul for even being there, man. If I saw somebody perform the ritual, I'm minding my business. I don't need that energy around me. You know, we avoid that, Seekers.
So, Amy Slayton from TLC's 1,000 Pound Sisters was just arrested, and the way she was arrested is an actual fever dream. Like, honestly, I feel bad because if this goes the wrong way, she could lose custody of her children. So on Labor Day, Amy Slayton, her boyfriend, and 2 children went to a safari park in Alamo, Tennessee. It's basically like a drive-through zoo where you can feed the animals and pet them if they let you. We don't know exactly how it went down yet, but sources are saying that Amy was bit by one of the camels. I don't know if the injury was so bad that Amy called the police, or if it's just the park's policy to call the authorities anytime someone is bit by an animal, but the police were called, and when they approached Amy's car, they immediately smelled some green flour, if you know what I mean. And when the authorities looked inside, they allegedly saw the flour and some special mushrooms in plain sight. Amy and her boyfriend Brian Lavorne faced charges of illegal possession of Schedule 1 and Schedule 6, and because the children were in the car, they also faced 2 counts of child endangerment. We know that the children are safe and staying with Amy's family members, but Tennessee's Child Protective Services are still investigating, so this could end very badly for Amy. And as of now, I'm pretty sure Amy is still in the Crockett County Jail on a $10,000 bond. I am unaware if Thousand Pound Sisters is even filming right now, but if you are, let me know in the comments.
This is Brittany Drexel, and in April 2009, she was on a spring break trip in South Carolina with some friends when she went missing. And since then, there have been no leads in her disappearance and believed homicide. Brittany was 18 years old in April 2009, and she wanted to go on a spring break trip to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina with her boyfriend and some of her girlfriends. But when Brittany asked her mother if she could go, her mother said no because she didn't know any of the other teenagers going with them and there were no adults accompanying them on the trip. This led to an argument between Brittany and her mother that lasted for several days. Eventually on April 22nd, Brittany asked her mother if she could go over to a friend's house for a couple of days to kind of calm down. Her mother agreed and Brittany left, but instead of going to a friend's house, she went down to South Carolina. A few days after arriving at Myrtle Beach, Brittany called her mother and let her know that she was at the beach, but her mother assumed that she meant a beach trip to the shoreline of Lake Ontario. So her mother, Dawn, was not alarmed at the fact that Brittany said she was at the beach and still had no idea she was actually down in South Carolina. That evening, around 8 p.m., Brittany left the Bar Harbor Hotel where she was staying with her friends to walk to another hotel to meet up with an old friend that was down there. This was about a 1.5 mile walk from the hotel where Brittany was staying with her friends. And security cameras at this other hotel, the Blue Water Resort, show Brittany entering and then leaving at 8:45 p.m. After leaving that hotel, Brittany was texting her boyfriend, who was actually still back in Rochester, where he had to stay because of work commitments. At 9:15 p.m., the text from Brittany suddenly stopped, and her boyfriend became extremely worried. He called their friends down in Myrtle Beach, but nobody knew where Brittany was. After that, Brittany's boyfriend called her mother, Dawn, to let her know what was going on. The search for Brittany began the next day, and in her hotel room, police found the clothes that she had packed, but not her purse or cell phone. This is the area where Brittany disappeared from, and they were searching in this area. Police were also able to track her cell phone pings, and they actually led down a path about 50 to 60 miles south of Myrtle Beach. And then the pings suddenly stopped. After that, areas near where the cell phone ping stopped and all around Myrtle Beach were searched. But no sign of Brittany was found and police were never able to identify a suspect. And then in June 2016, police announced a new lead in Brittany's case, and that's where I'll start with part 2.
Hey man, sometimes, bro. No, not sometimes. Mostly all the times, man. Parents know what they're talking about. Her mom didn't want her to go and look what happened. Parents, man, they got that gut feeling. They can sense when something's off. Listen to your parents, man.
Sanatorium. This is a place in Kentucky where very few people will still dare to venture, and there is a lot of that has to do with just how twisted the history is. One of the darkest stories that ever came out of the sanatorium were the stories of the body shoots. This is very much real, and it was beneath the building. What it was, and as you can see, is it was basically a tunnel system that was constructed at the height of patient death. There were so many patients dying, at least one every single hour, that they had to figure out a way to get rid of all the bodies. In that underground system, they built a 500-foot-long tunnel. That tunnel had a conveyor belt where they were just funneling bodies out of the building. It is truly considered to be one of the most haunted places in the United States, and for sure in Kentucky. Which is why when I go to Kentucky, I always have my Kentucky After Dark passport. This thing is truly something that you can take with you to basically every paranormal haunted stop.
I didn't even know something like that existed.
some of the scariest things that have been caught on camera, Part 5. On the evening of July 21st, 2021, a doorbell camera at a Los Angeles home captured one of the most disturbing scenes I've ever seen. At around 8 p.m., the young woman at the house was preparing dinner while waiting for her husband to return home from work. It was a very hot day, so she decided to open the window and let the evening breeze in. This caught the attention of a man on the sidewalk, and as he looked at the young woman, he decided to try and get a little closer.
I just rang your doorbell because I have a couple questions for you. Are you sure? Are you positive?
I know he lost his mind.
Are you sure? I just have a couple questions for you.
He continuously repeats the same sentences as he rings the doorbell and knocks on the door, claiming to only have a few questions. The woman never responded to the man and claims she'd never seen him until that point. As he's walking away, her husband comes on the doorbell speaker asking who he is, and that's when he reveals his true intentions.
Are you sure?
Who are you? I just had a couple questions. I just wanted to ask you about making sure.
What?
I want to wait for a killer to have a knife and a gun. Yeah, and I'm going to knock on the door again.
Thankfully, none of his fantasies played out as he walked away for good. Soon after, he was arrested a few blocks away, and when asked for his name, he claimed to be the Holy Spirit. It was later found that his real name was Christopher Sums, and a background check found that he had an impressive job history and was actually a normal person not too long ago. What caused this rapid change in appearance and personality is unknown, but the footage captured that night will continue to haunt the internet.
That was some chilling footage, definitely.
On the afternoon of June 4th, 2005, two friends, 22-year-old Henri Murray and 23-year-old Piet van Niekerk, decided to do some spearfishing off of Miller's Point, which is in False Bay, South Africa. The two young men put on their dive equipment. They're not allowed to scuba dive, so just snorkeling equipment, and then they swam out in the water about 200 meters off of shore till they were in about 6 meters depth of water, so maybe just over 20 feet deep of water. At some point, Henri, he spots a fish, he spears it, and then the two men are swimming back up on the surface with their secured fish, when all of a sudden, Niekerk hears his friend, Henri, yell out, "Hey, there's a shark, we need to get out of here." Well, Pete, he looks, and sure enough, there is a massive great white shark swimming on the ocean floor right beneath them. So the two men, they begin to swim towards shore, hoping to avoid the shark's attention, but unfortunately they are not able to avoid the shark's attention for long. There are several people watching from the beach at this point. One of them, whose name was Dave, will come into the story here in just a bit. But several people watching from the beach and a jetty, and then you have the two young men swimming in the water trying to escape the shark. Well, the shark breaches the water in between Pete and Henri. It's unclear how far the two men were away from each other, but the shark comes up out of the water right in between them, and then it begins to lunge and bite at Henri. Now at this point, Henri, he takes his spear gun and he's jabbing at the shark, and he's able to fend it off twice. It comes back twice, biting at him, and he's able to spear this shark. Well, not spear it, but hit it with his spear gun and deter it. Unfortunately, the third time the shark came back, this was not the case. The shark came back from behind him and kind of underneath him and grabbed him by the legs and swallowed him all the way up to his chest. So his arms were pinned inside the shark's mouth as well. So he's almost completely inside of this shark. The shark lifts him up out of the water as Pete watches in horror, and the people from the beach are watching this too. That guy Dave, who was watching from shore, said that this shark must have been nearly 20 feet long, or over 6 meters, to be able to swallow this man like that almost completely. So it swallows Henri almost completely, it slams him back down onto the water, and then it just disappears with him in its mouth. Pete obviously can't do anything. He's able to swim back to shore successfully. There are some reports saying that he tried to spear the shark at some point, but this was unsuccessful or did not deter the animal, whether or not that's true. Anyways, he makes it back to shore. They launch several search attempts with police, divers, and everything. The only thing that they're ever able to find is part of his torn wetsuit and part of his weight belt and I think his snorkel and spear gun. So it's assumed that Henri was swallowed entirely by the shark.
Alright, y'all check this out. Okay, so everybody kept asking, test all the foods, so that's exactly what I'm doing.
Alright.
All the foods that I love are tainted, y'all. I'm not even joking. This right here makes me so mad. Like, we just got these. And y'all can plainly see there's nothing white on top of this oatmeal cream pie.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. So y'all check this out. Look at that. What in the hell is going on? Y'all, I don't care what anybody says in the comments. That's not normal. I don't care. That's not normal.
It's contaminated.
I mean, it's only certain parts of it. Even the cream on the inside, you can't see it, it's smashed, but it don't even glow, and it's white. So, y'all let me know what y'all think about that. It's blown my mind. Like, when I'm done doing these series, I'm not going to be able to eat nothing.
Me either. I'll have to stay on this.
That's insane, y'all. Like, this makes me so mad. This is approved by the FDA. Millions of people eat these. I don't care what anybody says. Everybody in the South eats oatmeal cream pies pretty much. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this. I'm going to start doing restaurant foods. And then we'll go from there. I mean, what can you do? I wanted to share that with y'all. Here y'all go. Oatmeal cream pie under a black light. That's crazy.
Have you seen the video of the alien walking the streets of Atlanta? Don't know what I'm talking about? Take a look at this.
Hey, space guy, man. Hey, bro, hey, can you tattoo alien flesh? Yeah, I guess, right? Yeah, but I'm trying to get 2 teardrops, but okay, dog. I took out the 4 whole solar system, but hell, you come out, well. You know I need a teardrop big time, well. What's that, Zola? Yeah, but RP Zola, you know I'm going to RP that,
what?
People in Atlanta are starting to believe that we have a real alien living amongst us and walking amongst us.
Yeah, but RP Zola, you know I'm going to RP that.
I think this is some kind of costume, bro.
Hey, well, I'm still sitting behind that shit. Hey, man. Shit, y'all licking the shit.
So if you're from the Atlanta area, let me know if you've run into the alien from Atlanta, and what are your thoughts? Real, or is that some type of costume? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
That's definitely a costume, man. He's in Atlanta, he need to hop on the stream with Kai, bro.
Nobody but me find this story crazy. This baby right here was technically conceived in 1994, but now born in 2024. Let that sink in. This baby was sitting in a freezer for 30 years. This baby has been in the freezer as long as some of y'all been alive. I'm talking about a full embryo in a cryogenic sleep for 3 decades, y'all. I only heard about this shit on sci-fi movies.
Yep.
But this is real life. These people trying to play God. Bruh, this baby has been frozen since Bill Clinton was the president. This shit is crazy, fool. And the couple was a couple out of Tennessee that did this. This baby got to skip out on a lot of shit that was going on. But it's crazy for them to have this baby now in this era. Cause I know this baby like, what the fuck? Now, I don't know what's wilder. The fact that this baby survived on ice for 30 plus years, or the fact that the scientists let this happen in the first place. Imagine telling these people, I want my baby to be frozen for 30 years and then I'm gonna have him. Do y'all know how crazy that shit sound? They already unlocking the next level of human cloning at this point. Then what I think about now is, I know this is not the only baby that's frozen. If they did it to this baby, how many other babies is frozen? This might be a newborn baby, but I'm telling you, this junk gonna come out with an old soul. Something nobody has ever seen before.
Tay just made an OnlyFriend. Not only did she just make $1 million in 3 hours, the pictures that Lil Tay is posting is not only concerning, but also scary. As soon as she turned 18, she did exactly what Bad Baby did. And first off, I need to know who the people who are subscribing to this, because they need to be put on a list. But they just got what they deserved after the pictures that they actually got from Lil Tay. And this is where it gets more worse. A lot of people thought that she took these pictures before she turned 18, and that the dudes that are buying this are literally spawn camping, because she has been talking about this for the past few weeks, and some of these people that have been saying that they've been waiting for this make me sick to my stomach. And thank God Lil Tay said that all of this was filmed after she turned 18, because she has been on the internet for so long, and the people that are consuming this new Lil Tay content have probably known who she is for a while now. But this is where it gets even more insaner. I wish I could make $1 million in 3 hours, and literally everybody on the internet is saying that all the pictures that Lil Tay is posting is literally nothing special. Basically posting glorified Instagram pictures. Do you feel bad for Lil Tay? Let me tell you some.
That's just insane, man. This is the society we live in, bro.
Interesting things that I just learned. Tears that are triggered by sadness, happiness, and onions all apparently appear different under a microscope. Bras were called breast bags in medieval times. A skyscraper called walkie-talkie, I guess because it looks like one, was melting cars and damaging buildings due to its ability to focus sunlight because of the concave shape that it was built in. That's just unfortunate, putting all that work in. Oh my goodness. 2 men climbed Mount Everest and then paraglided off the summit, touching down over 19 miles away in only 42 minutes, which allowed them to avoid the potentially deadly 3-day descent. Now that's what I call a shortcut. The Big Zero is a soccer stadium in Brazil where the midfield line is basically aligned with the equator, which causes each team to defend one hemisphere or the other. American Airlines saved $40,000 by eliminating one olive from its first class salads back in 1987. So that $40,000 was worth a lot more than it is now. The guy that named the movie Cars got a $300,000 bonus and reportedly was paid over $700,000 a year. Sometimes simplicity is just the way to go. Cars. Bulgaria sold 213,000 Bitcoin in 2018, which would now be worth $25 billion and actually would be more than enough to clear their entire national debt.
How is time travel not real? When James Franco and his brother are in a magazine from 1972. Watch this. Old, adult magazine from 1972. That is James Franco and his brother. You can't convince me otherwise.
Similarities, I see.
Either they are time travelers or immortal vampires who never unalive, ever. Either way, it's super crazy. As always, thank you for watching. Until next time, stay weird.
There's this girl on TikTok who is claiming to have proof that her neighbor is watching her through her window. At first, I didn't see what everybody else was seeing. I didn't know what they were talking about. Turn up the brightness on your phone, then throw the phone out the window. A full-blown face in the window. People were in the comments and they were like, why haven't you contacted the police about this? Other people in the comments were saying, she did. The police are not following up on it. Like pulling that card like, is this person actively trying to break in? Has this person caused you harm before? That's why they're not doing anything. What would you do in this situation?
Imagine a bakery making you a sandwich that pisses you off so bad, you come back 4 years later to stab somebody. That's exactly what happened in this case. 2 deli workers were stabbed over an angry customer that had a bad sandwich from here 4 years ago. And it wasn't that it tasted bad. The customer had a certain allergy to something. However, he was served that thing anyways and it made him sick. So he was plotting and scheming like the damn Joker for years. And I need to emphasize again, this was 4 years ago. It happened in Paterson, New Jersey. The 2 brothers that owned the bakery were the ones attacked. Their names are Assad and Mohammed. They've owned the bakery for decades. Suspect apparently confronted one of the girls that was working there, and then he used a box cutter to attack the brothers. Also, to be clear, 4 years ago, they tried to make it right with the guy. You know, the order was wrong, they acknowledged that. They even offered to give him, like, free stuff and, like, other things like that. They even offered him more compensation just because, you know, he had an allergic reaction, but he refused. Now, for the sandwich in question, he ordered an egg sandwich years ago, but he got an eggplant sandwich, and apparently he's allergic to that. As for the brothers that got stabbed, they're being treated for non-life-threatening injuries. They're hospitalized right now, so, I mean, I'm glad they're okay. This might be the crash out of the week. I would say crash out of the century, but people crash out crazy every week and they surprise me.
I fell into the Stillwater. Help! Yep, we're talking about Stillwater again today. Here is a flooded bank vault with a bunch of Stillwater and probably more brain-eating amoebas than dollars. Who wants to go into the flooded cellar of doom that probably has Pennywise in it and Stillwater? I don't remember why I saved this. This isn't even Stillwater. That's just a creepy lizard. This Stillwater Ussie. And here is a picture of some Stillwater with its bacteria in it. That is vile. Here's Stillwater under a microscope, in case you were wondering. Do not ever jump in that stuff. You will be, unfortunately, exited from this earth. This looks like my matcha water that I drink every day. But you know what? I'm not gonna let it stop me from loving matcha. That giant pipe in that Stillwater like that looks disgusting. Look, it's a pool full of Diet Coke.
No,
it's
it
not
ain't.
Diet Coke. And once again, this water looks like if you fell in it, you would become the Hulk or Shrek. And the worst photo of Stillwater that has ever existed. I don't know where this is, but there is at least 5 billion diseases in that little pool alone. How do you feel?
The Grand Canyon is on fire. In fact, it's been on fire for almost a month. And it's not even like it's small. Over 1,000 firefighters have been struggling to contain 2 fires. One called White Sage, we'll get to that, and the other called Dragon Bravo, which are on and around the North Rim. So far, they've burnt the equivalent of 113,000 football fields, destroyed close to 100 structures, including homes of park officials, a visitor center, a gas station, a water plant, and even the historic Grand Canyon Lodge. And the reason you may or may not have seen people freaking out about this on TikTok is because white sage is a sacred medicinal plant, often burnt by Native American tribes for cleansing and purification. Lord knows we need some of that right now. And authorities currently believe that both fires were started by lightning, believe it or not. Oh, they really don't want us to see August. The white sage fire is currently 83% contained, while Dragon Bravo, on the other hand, is only 4% contained. And recent reports say that it tripled in size in just 3 days. See you in August, hopefully.
They're saying that one person is dead and 22 people are sick from Legionnaire disease in Harlem. And if you don't know about Legionnaire disease, it's not a disease that spreads from person to person. It's a bacteria that spreads like mist. So this bacteria is often found in water, and it usually hides in cooling towers on the top of buildings. The same cooling towers that gives building air conditioning, which means the mist from those air conditioners spreads throughout people. And that's how Legionnaire disease goes from person to person. So basically, you can be walking past one of these places and take a deep breath, and that bacteria can go into your lungs and you're infected. And this infection is sort of like pneumonia. And when some people acquire this bacteria, they don't make it. So if you're having pain in your chest, diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting, fevers or chills, you might need to go see a doctor. Because again, 22 people are sick and one person has already lost their life. And of course, we're talking about New York City. We're talking about Harlem. That means that there's a lot of people walking around through these areas and they don't even know this is happening. Pay attention.
An orangutan was kept in a brothel, dressed up, and forced to live like a human. Pony was taken from the wild as a baby in Borneo after her mother disappeared. Instead of freedom, they trapped her in a place where she was treated like a possession, but not kindly. They kept her in a brothel made to wear clothes and makeup and forced her to be around people all day long. The really sad and disgusting part is this wasn't a secret, this wasn't hidden. Many people in the village knew what was happening. In fact, when a team arrived to rescue her, they faced resistance. Some locals did not want Pony to leave. It took a huge effort from a lot of people to be able to bring her to safety. So sad. Like, after the rescue, Pony was deeply traumatized. She even forgot how to behave like an orangutan and had to relearn basic skills like eating natural food or climbing trees. Pony's story really shows us why protecting wild animals and their home is so important. This is not the only story like this, as crazy as that is. Without this kind of protection, animals can suffer in ways that people could never even imagine. What do you think should be done to help animals like Pony? Follow for more.
Apparently there's
Good thing Pony's free.
that went on 4chan recently, a couple weeks ago, and he's like, they found in this cave in Antarctica this egg-shaped UFO-looking thing, which that's what we talked about a week ago.
Yeah.
And apparently after this came out, it gave this one guy the courage to disclose the stuff that they found in Antarctica, supposedly, of this same egg-shaped UFO that they found. But what's also strange is we talked about the hieroglyphics that a lot of people reported seeing on these UFOs. Same thing happened with this UFO, where there's really weird hieroglyphics all over it. Also, there's like a weird catacomb or like a coffin. It looked like a marble sarcophagus, very similar to the one that we talked about in Russia, where that lady was in.
Yeah.
But yeah, that first picture, some of it looks almost like Hebrew.
Yeah.
That looks just like that letter in Hebrew. That one. Super weird, but apparently they're calling him an alien, but he looked like a tall, Nordic-looking man, very pale skin, long blonde hair, 7-8 feet tall, was in that sarcophagus, woke up, and was conversing with them.
Robots are...
So we got freaking alien eggs in Antarctica. You know, some weird things be going down there, but that's my first time hearing about it.
stealing human jobs faster than anyone predicted, and 8 major industries just proved human workers are becoming completely obsolete. Waymo autonomous taxis are already serving 200,000 paid rides per week with 0 human drivers, while Amazon deployed 750,000 warehouse robots that sort packages faster and more accurately than any human worker. In China, robotic gas station attendants refuel cars without human help, and robot chefs trained on 5 million recipes are cooking restaurant-quality meals with perfect precision every single time. Boston Dynamics robots are now operating professional film cameras and performing backflips while capturing movie scenes, completely replacing human camera operators who spent decades mastering their craft. The most terrifying example is robots repairing high-voltage power lines because utility companies realize machines never get electrocuted, never fall, and never demand overtime pay or health insurance. These aren't prototypes or future concepts. Every single one of these robots is working right now, earning money for companies while human workers get laid off and replaced. From taxi drivers to warehouse workers to professional chefs, robots are proving they can do almost every job better, faster, and cheaper than the humans who used to do them. The job apocalypse isn't coming in 10 years, it's happening today, while most people are still pretending their careers are safe from automations. Which job will be the last one that robots can't steal from humans?
The Ring of... What do you guys think, Seekers, man? That's scary, bro. Robots are just infiltrating the jobs and taking them all away from humans, man. That's crazy, bro. No industry is safe. Guess some, maybe like probably like sports, maybe entertainment. I don't know, but who knows, man? Maybe they probably gonna try to infiltrate those fields as well. Be careful out there, man. If you have a job, like we gotta think of a side hustle or something.
Fire is active, and I think we have reached a point of no return. We have been having earthquake after earthquake after earthquake after earthquake. This one was in the U.S. Back to back to back earthquakes, and these are not little earthquakes either. Ring of Fire having so much activity that a 500-year-old volcano just erupted in Russia. Let's not forget to mention all of the other volcanoes that's waking up across the world too. And I told y'all we was gonna start seeing a lot more activity after them underwater currents did a reverse. This is what caused the day after tomorrow to happen. Go watch this movie. We have been getting hit with non-stop earthquakes all over the world. I know this is the part of the video where I bring up Matthew 24, nation rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and it'd be earthquakes in strange places. Those are the signs of birthing pains. Keep making videos and letting y'all know that we on borrowed time, gang. It's time to get your life right with Jesus, because all of these earthquakes that's happening, volcanoes erupting, just signs of the second coming. Now y'all let me know what y'all think about these earthquake swarms that's happening all across the world in the comments. Like or follow for more wisdom. Stay tuned. And remember, if you want to grow your social media and get paid or passive revenue, comment down below, hub, and I'm going to send the resources in your DMs.
Here's every celebrity that Trisha Paytas has reincarnated in her womb. The dates and the times of these coincidences are insane, and why she decided to get her tubes removed, therefore never giving birth or reincarnating ever again. So just yesterday, it was announced that Trisha Paytas gave birth to her third child, a boy named Aquaman. And no, I'm not kidding. And when it was announced that Aquaman was born, literally, it was uncanny how the announcement of Ozzy Osbourne's death was announced 1 minute before. You could not make this stuff up. And in all seriousness, RIP to Ozzy Osbourne. But what's even crazier is that, guess who hosted Ozzy Osbourne's farewell concert just a couple weeks before he died? Jason Momoa, who plays Aquaman. And then Ozzy Osbourne gets reincarnated into Aquaman. And this is how Ozzy is living it up now. He's already in his little Aquaman suit. Trisha put on her Aquaman shirt right after giving birth. He's really going off the rails on a crazy train now. And Trisha's response to her most recent reincarnation was liking a comment that said, "You should have taken Trump, not Ozzy." Now this whole Trisha Paytas' womb is the portal to reincarnation conspiracy theory started when Queen Elizabeth died on September 8th, 2022. And then Trisha Paytas' first child, Malibu Barbie, was born on September 14th, 2022.
I don't understand why my womb is carrying all these souls.
Now, a lot of people thought Trisha Paytas' second child, Elvis, was actually the reincarnation of the Pope, but the Pope actually died a little bit too early for that to be the case. Trisha Paytas' second daughter, Elvis, is actually the reincarnation of O.J. Simpson, who died just a couple weeks before she was born. But sadly, this conspiracy theory that Trisha Paytas always gives birth right when a very notable public figure dies and reincarnates them is now coming to an end because Trisha said she had to get her tubes removed because she's had 3 C-sections and it wouldn't be safe or optimal for her to give birth again, so her and her doctors decided to remove her tubes after her last birthing of Aquaman. And I love how Trisha has always been in on the joke. She knows the internet just likes to have a little bit of fun.
The whole movie was a metaphor for using artists to bring people to the dark side.
Oh, that's
the whole
fun.
movie was a metaphor. I watched it again recently, and it clicked in my head, bro. In that one scene, remember what happened when the main vampire was saying, "Just give us Sammy, and then we'll leave you guys alone." Yeah, Sammy. Yeah,
Sammy. You're the one I came for. I want to see my people again. I'm trapped here, but your gifts can bring them to me.
He said to, "I just want Sammy for his talent." Okay. So he wanted his talent. Why? Because the way he was attracting more and more people was through music. Through music, using musical artists because it's a spiritual thing regardless, but you can manipulate where they go.
Oh, that's so much.
And they use songs and music in worship. They use it everywhere. Yeah. But they also use it in the clubs and parties, right? But if the things you guys are chanting together are, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my
real
God.
bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that energy is coming towards you guys, and if it's violent things, it's like casting a spell.
Insane Lawsuits, Part
Right in
1.
front of us.
In 2009, a Canadian woman named Karen Sala sued Keanu Reeves for $150,000 a month in child support and $3 million in spousal support, claiming he had fathered her 4 adult children. She alleged that Reeves had used hypnosis and even shapeshifting to disguise himself as her ex-husband before impregnating her. Reeves denied ever meeting her, and a DNA test confirmed he was not the father. Despite Sala's bizarre claims that the DNA test was tampered with, the judge dismissed the case as baseless and a waste of court resources. Reeves later referred to the ordeal as horrible. Anna Ayala famously sued Wendy's after claiming she found a human finger in her bowl of chili, but investigators soon discovered she planted it herself. It was a severed finger she received from a friend who had lost it in a workplace accident. She was later sentenced to 9 years in prison for attempted grand theft. In the 90s, a student named John Leonard tried to claim a Harrier jet that Pepsi jokingly offered in a commercial for 7 million Pepsi points. He legally submitted enough money to buy the points, but Pepsi refused. Leonard sued, but the court ruled that the ad was clearly a joke and dismissed the case, saying no reasonable person would think a military jet was a real offer.
4 bodies, all found within close proximity of one another and within a 4-day window. This is weird. It has been quite a chilling week for the North Yorkshire seaside town of Whitby. Personal favourite of mine, actually. Just listen to this. On July 30th, 2 bodies were airlifted to hospital. 1 male, 1 female. That was from point 1. It was believed that the pair had fallen off the cliff, and the police said there was nothing suspicious. The very next day, July 31st, a woman in her 60s was found at the bottom of the cliffs at point 2. Police deemed it to be consistent with falling from a height and then ruled it not to be suspicious. Then on Saturday, August the 2nd, the body of a woman in her 50s was found at point 3. Again, her injuries were consistent with a fall, and police deemed it not to be suspicious. That concludes 4 bodies within a 4-day window, all within the same area, very, very close. How is that not suspicious?
Here's what people from 100 years ago thought the world would look like today. First off, they thought we would have automatic moving sidewalks. Next, they thought we would have roofs over our cities to protect us from the weather. And speaking about weather, they thought we would have weather controlling machines. Next up is video calls, which they actually did get right. Next, they thought we would walk on water with the help of balloons. Next, they thought we would have flying taxis, which I really do hope we get one day.
Oh. They was like 1 out of 5 of their predictions.
Here are some things that are completely normal during the day, but really creepy at night. Digging holes in your backyard. I mean, it's your backyard and you're entitled to do whatever you want to it, but if I see you digging some holes in the middle of the night, I'm gonna be really concerned. Bonus creepy points if you have some trash bags next to you too. I feel bad for people who work graveyard shifts or are night owls because it makes it difficult to do any gardening or landscaping without looking pretty creepy. They say a child's laughter is one of the most beautiful sounds in the world, but not if it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Scary movies have absolutely ruined the sound of a child laughing for me because most instances I'm gonna assume the worst. And for some reason, little girls laughing are even more scary. Like imagine being in the woods camping and you hear some little girl laughing in the distance. My brain isn't gonna think, oh cool, some family must be camping near us. No, I'm gonna think that I'm gonna get murdered or possessed by some demon. Someone knocking on your door during the day, it's annoying. Who the fuck is showing up at my house unannounced? It must be a salesman or worse, Mormons. That same knock at 3 in the morning? No, I'm getting murdered for sure. I'm on the 2nd floor and my only way out is to jump out the window, so I'm done for.
This is the most terrifying bathroom you'll ever see. The bathroom is located in a secret underground bar in Tokyo. And this horrifying face watches you on the toilet. Now, the inside of the toilet has special pressure sensors, so the more you do, the closer it gets to you. It will sing to you as it slowly moves closer until eventually it violates you. Watch this.
No way, man. Imagine you just on a crapper, bro, and a face. It's like slowly moving towards you, man. And it's weird that it senses like how much you crap and that's how it interacts with you. Some freaky things, man, in that underground Tokyo club, bro. We would not be going there. Take that off the bucket list.
These are disturbing Disney World facts. Up first, Disney's first water park called River Country closed permanently in 2001 after a crazy reason. An 11-year-old boy died from a brain-eating parasite he got in the water at the park. The park is still there, completely abandoned to this day. Disney World is one of the most popular places on Earth where people scatter the ashes of dead people. It actually happens so often that the employees have a special code to use to report it for cleanup. I'm gonna ruin your childhood, part 78.
Here we go.
In the movie Shrek, Lord Farquaad did something you probably didn't notice that will make you really mad. So in the beginning of the movie, you see Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear in these cages. But later on in the movie, in this scene, you see Papa Bear and Baby Bear, but where's Mama Bear? It is later revealed that Lord Farquaad turned Mama Bear into a rug in his room.
Damn, I didn't even notice that when I was a kid. We just gloss over
These
those
are
things.
abandoned places that you've never seen. These are Soviet space shuttles that have been abandoned for more than 30 years. Kashima, Japan was known for its underwater coal mine where over 5,000 people lived in the 1950s and was abandoned by the 1970s. This shack was abandoned after Hurricane Katrina and has been untouched since. This is an abandoned church in Greece that is now sitting at a 17-degree angle because of a landslide. This is a Japanese World War II airplane that lies wrecked in shallow water off the coast of Guam. This is an eerie yellow brick road from the Land of Oz abandoned theme park in North Carolina. A library in Detroit that was abandoned after closing in 1996. This is the factory that basically built New York City. This is an abandoned train track bridge in California from the late 1800s. This is an abandoned 1950s restaurant.
This is a completely abandoned island castle in Ireland.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. There are thousands of old diseases frozen in the glaciers of the world, and global warming will eventually release them all. If a person dies in their costume at Disney, like Mickey Mouse, they have to be sat down on a bench so it looks like they're resting. Climate change is making spiders bigger. Some female spiders allow their young to eat them alive. Tooth in the eye surgery is when surgeons put a tooth in a blind person's eye to restore their sight. It was pioneered in the 1960s, and it actually works, and it's still being done today. The chances of a successful CPR outside of a hospital is only 7%. Cell phones are 10 times dirtier than a toilet seat. When you suddenly wake up during the night without any reason, there was someone or something staring at you. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 12.
Who's staring at me at night?
You didn't know exist. First is the Gates of Hell. This is also known as the Darvaza gas crater. It's a natural gas field that collapsed. It was originally thought to be an oil site, but when they started preparing for drilling, it collapsed. And they expected the dangerous release of poisonous gas from this, so engineers decided to burn this off. It was estimated that the gas would burn off within a few weeks, but it's been burning for over 50 years and there's no end in sight. These are the Mendenhall Caves in Alaska. They're formed as water flows through the glacier and creates a passageway. And the blue color of the ice is a result of the air squeezing out from the original ice and snow, causing the ice to absorb all the colors except blue. The glowworm caves in New Zealand. These caves are filled with glowworms that light up the top of the caves like a night sky. And you can actually walk through these caves or even take a boat ride through them.
Kid remembered his past life, and the story is shocking to him. A 3-year-old boy began to say that he had been murdered in his past life. He said he was killed by getting an axe to the head, and strangely enough, on his head was a long red birthmark. Because of this strange coincidence, his family decided to take him to the village he said he was murdered at. When there, he pointed to the spot he said he was buried at. The family decided to pay for excavators, and when they dug up the ground, they found something shocking. There was the skeleton of a young child with a fractured skull. But it doesn't stop here, because the boy remembered the name of his killer and the address. So the family confronted him about this story, and he actually admitted to the crime.
Worst ways people
What
have
the
died,
hell?
part 3. In 2014, during a Mizoram Football Association match in India, Peter Bayak Zangzula scored a rebound goal after a free kick bounced off the left goalpost. He attempted to do a cartwheel, which he pulled off, but when he tried to do a backflip, he landed on his face awkwardly and broke his back. He was immediately surrounded by teammates and medical staff, but sadly he died 5 days later. In 2015, security footage from inside a mall in China shows Xiang and her 2-year-old son reach the top of an escalator when suddenly a floor panel collapsed, trapping Jiang in the moving escalator. She was able to save her toddler by throwing him out of the way, but she was sucked into the machine and it took rescue workers 4 hours to pull her remains from the cogs of the machine.
What the hell, man?
Here are 5
This is
cute
just
animals that are
small
actually
ways
the
to
spawn
go.
of Satan. I'm about to ruin a lot of cute animals for you. Alright, let's start with the Emperor Penguin, because penguins are cute, right? Wrong! If the Emperor Penguin loses its children, rather than mourning and making more bundles of joy, this is how evil Emperor Penguins are, that they'll just go out and take another penguin's penguin to raise it as its own kid. For about 20 minutes, and then it gets bored of it and abandons it. So basically, it took it just for the lols. Evil! Next up, we have dolphins, and I really shouldn't laugh at this, but these little shits can actually be really evil. For example, in Disney World, dolphins are actually kept separate, because these dolphins came up with a new game. It would catch a stingray in its beak, take it to the surface, and then skim it along the water like a rock. Evil! You may think koalas are cute, but these are actually some weird fucking creatures. Not only have they been known to be more aggressive than a crocodile, but also they make this sound. What in Satan's ringtone was that? Then we have a turtle's mouth and cats. Enough said. Share it in.
Animals, bro.
Here's some
I always
weird
thought those
things
were
that
cute,
happen when
bro.
you have a crush on somebody. You're gonna get butterflies in your stomach, or maybe it feels like your heart's skipping a beat. This is because of adrenaline, and it's just redirecting your blood flow, which can feel pretty weird in your body. The original design for this was to help us run away or fight something off, but when you see your crush, your brain interprets this as a high-stakes event, and even though it doesn't feel like it, it just wants to prepare you. Your pupils are gonna get huge. You don't even have to be talking to them. You can just be thinking about them. Your brain's gonna release dopamine. They're gonna dilate for 2 reasons. 1, it lets in more light, your vision gets sharper, you're taking in all the details, and 2, it's a very subtle signal that can help somebody feel more like connected and attracted to you on like the most subconscious level. You're
Really?
addicted, like hardcore drugs addicted, except to a person. But don't worry, people can totally handle this concoction of brain hormones in a healthy way. That's a joke, because, you know, when breakups happen, people act crazy because they're literally going through withdrawals.
This Canadian man was just scanning for free sports channels when he accidentally landed on North Korean state TV. And what happened next is wild. They sneakily watch the Premier League. Now, thinking he might get shut out, he quickly began recording the bizarre content playing. And he said once he started watching, he couldn't stop. Sounds about right. He then began uploading tens of hours of it to his YouTube channel for everyone else to watch. Joe was just trying to watch some free Olympics, but ended up feeding unseen North Korean TV to the entire world. Now, as for what program overnight is dead. You know, it's just these colored bars. But every day, the morning broadcast begins at 8 a.m. sharp with the national anthem and glory songs to former leaders. And for the rest of the day, it's kind of mostly stuff you'd imagine. Just hours upon hours of songs celebrating the country's greatness, stuff about wars, burning the American flag, and Kim Jong-un getting oiled up. Getting embroiled in conversations about the country's oil reserves. But there are some haymakers in there, like cartoons for children, and even a couple of movies scattered throughout the week, which genuinely look like it was made 50 years ago. No idea what the plotline is, but at the end, their coal mine gets blown up, and boy, Marvel has competition.
What the hell is that?
Oh, and another thing I didn't expect, they play Premier League highlights. No idea how they got the rights for that, but what are they going to do? Tell them to stop? Oh, it does look like they're still on last season as well. Only 1% of people can finish
The Coal Mine Cinematic Universe confirmed. Imagine it, like you freaking. First of all, I don't know how you're trying to hack your TV, man. Trying to get some free channels and you come across a North Korea TV. The U.S. government might try to hit you up, bro. They're going to try to figure out how you did that. How you got into that secure access, bro. Be careful out there, man.
This video. The last one is just too scary. What did they catch in their fishing net?
The hell is that in that net? Is that an edit?
You can see if your phone is being spied on by clicking share, clicking more. And if you see this, delete it. What was in this man's ambulance truck?
I ain't never experienced nothing like this. I swear I seen a face in the rearview mirror. No, what the? No, hell no.
You woke up in the middle of the night and see two paths. Which one are you going to pick? Left or right? Let me know down below. An attacker tried breaking into this woman's hotel.
I'm the oldest girl out of 11 siblings, so here's some parenting hacks. Your kid is upset, probably even with you. Do you pull the whole, like, I could give you something to cry about card? No, you psycho. Let's build them some emotional intelligence really quick, okay? All you gotta do is help them label the emotion they're feeling, talk about it, and give them something to do with it. And you know what? You might not even know this yourself, and that's fine. So here's a helpful chart. Positive language can go a long way. I used to do this in customer service on adults, so I guarantee it's going to work on your kid. It's like, instead of saying, sorry that took so long, you say, thank you for your patience. Instead of, don't run, you say, please walk. It reduces their natural instinct to resist you. Do you not want to be one of those decrepit old parents who wonders why their kids never call them anymore? Try fostering a safe environment for them to feel like they can come and talk to you. One way you can do this is when they're young, have everybody in the family write down their mistakes on a piece of paper and put it into a jar. A mistake jar, if you will. Go through that once a week and talk about it, okay? Like,
these are abandoned
Great
places
ideas.
I've never seen.
These are Soviet space shuttles that have been abandoned for more than 30 years. Hashima, Japan was known for its underwater coal mine where over 5,000 people lived in the 1950s and was abandoned by the 1970s. This shack was abandoned after Hurricane Katrina and has been untouched since. This is an abandoned church in Greece that is now sitting at a 17-degree angle because of a landslide. This is a Japanese World War II airplane that lies wrecked in shallow water off the coast of Guam. This is an eerie yellow brick road from the Land of Oz abandoned theme park in North Carolina. A library in Detroit that was abandoned after closing in 1996.
Wow.
This is the factory that basically built New York's.
Gotham Steel Factory. Sorry, man, we had to pause on that because that's just history, bro. Built New York City, man. Imagine if they just took down all those, you know, abandoned places and just put up some new land or something, man. That's just like empty space.
This is an
Just
abandoned
around.
train track bridge in California from the late 1800s. This is an abandoned 1950s restaurant. This is a completely abandoned island castle in Ireland.
The Max and Ruby hijacking. In March 2004, the creepiest thing happened when Max and Ruby was hijacked. Many people around the world still can't explain what happened that day. The show was going normal, but when Ruby calls Max, everything goes dark and appears Max with no face.
Wait, Max.
Huh? Oh, no.
It then shows Max and Ruby standing next to a gravestone. To see a video of what happened to the children who saw this, comment show us if you want to see it, and I will show you.
Yeah, show us. We need to see this.
And at the end, with this cryptic message, the episode then turns to normal, as if nothing happened.
If you didn't see Longlegs, go.
Did that really happen? I mean, it must have happened so long ago, man. But damn, that really happened on Max and Ruby? Because, bro, I used to watch that show when I think when I was a kid. I used to watch a couple of episodes of that. It's all in our media, bro. And I never even knew. I could have watched that episode and I could have just forgotten, man.
Oh wait, this is not for you. No, probably gonna spoil things, so just scroll away for this. For anybody who did see Longlegs, this is the horror movie of the year. So good. But the thing that got me was that even while I was watching, of course the devil is a huge theme of the movie. It's a big undercurrent, but I didn't realize that the devil is in almost every single shot of the movie. I went through some of the earlier scenes with Lee, and the devil is there, background of the frame. That's what I thought was maybe more obvious because clearly Longlegs is in this shot. Again, if you look right behind the devil's in the frame. The library scene where the shot is dead center, and there's a noise. It draws us directly to the location. I still didn't catch it. The devil is in the frame. Sometimes it's very obvious, and it's right there in plain sight, but you still don't even catch it. Other times the devil is kind of shadowed or put into like a corner of the frame. They really did that in almost every scene of the movie.
I heard about Longlegs. Have any of you guys watched that?
Alright? They're born the same time, they're the same age. And now one of them, I will send off at 90% the speed of light. And the other I'll keep down here on Earth. So we can ask, how does their how do their aging rates compare? Okay? Turns out, this twin that I've already sent, his clock ticks 44% as fast as this twin's clock. Our clock here on Earth. So, this twin is aging more slowly than this one. It's at 90% the speed of light. Let's pump it up some more. How about 99% the speed of light? Now the time ticks at only 14% the rate as it does back here on Earth. How about 99.9%?
Keep up with it.
We're getting closer and closer to the speed of light itself. And at that speed, the clock ticks only 4.5% as fast. So, what does this mean? Tell you what it means. This twin that traveled for 5 years and comes back, if they went at 99.9% the speed of light, after 5 years, they're 5 years older. We have aged 110 years.
Damn.
It's called the Twin Paradox.
Curtain number 1.
Twin Paradox, okay.
These are some. All of this was done without anesthesia. Just awful to think about. And I'm sure all of these were awful to think about. And I'm sorry, but that's why.
I'm going to show you possibly the biggest lie in history. At least if a lie could be measured by money. And that is because it is a lie two specific companies would love you to believe. Unfortunately, many say there may be nothing we can do to fix this lie. And the lie is that there is a world's richest person. Currently, this richest person is Elon Musk.
I'm about to say Elon Musk, right?
The darkest organizations want you to believe this. According to Forbes, people like Elon and Jeff Bezos are the world's richest people, but they can only list people whose assets are visible or public knowledge. Try as you might, there are people and organizations with assets so secret it is impossible to calculate their wealth. And since wealth is unfortunately power, this is a problem. For example, there is no way to know the worth of Vladimir Putin or the Saudi family. People can give estimates like saying they're worth $1.4 trillion, but this is nothing more than a guess. Knowing that assets can be hidden leads us to these two organizations, BlackRock and Vanguard. And there is good reason many people say these companies run the world. And the strange part is that both of these companies are the biggest investor of the other. For many, this is a massive warning sign, especially since they own a huge stake in all the major news networks. This includes Fox and CNN. And on a side note, they would seem to profit from the rhetoric that keeps us divided, along with having major sway in what the networks can say. Big Pharma, Vanguard owns huge shares in Pfizer. Oil and gas, they hold Shell, even Microsoft. And the scariest part is that they hold majority voting power in many of their investments. So who is the owner of them? They are so heavily invested in each other, it's strange to call them two companies. A quick Google search and a legal probe will show you that nobody actually knows who owns them. And because the organization is private, nobody knows who is a member of the company, though Vanguard has said that BlackRock has a unique company structure, which doesn't sound sketchy at all. There is one very public figure, however, and this is Larry Fink. He loves working at deep levels in the government and has no political affiliation because he will go wherever the money flows. He tried being the secretary for Hillary Clinton and was brought on as an advisor for Trump. He plays both sides. We saw this as he tried for the position of secretary for the Biden administration. So with all this mystery around the BlackRock Vanguard group, who is the richest person? If we go back in history, we can see that the Rothschild family is one of BlackRock and Vanguard's biggest holders. And conspiracy theorists have had a heyday with the stories of this family over decades. Other shareholders include the Bush family and even the royal family of England. So though we may know the families tied to these organizations, we may never know who runs them. And these shady individuals clearly have a reason they want to keep it that way. Welcome to the Gleek.com channel as we reveal more about the world of money and crypto.
Man, she was just exposing our world, bro.
So I can tell you why that figure is weird. This figure depicts the child version of a famous character in Japan known as Supersonico. Now, according to Wikipedia, Supersonico is typically portrayed as an 18-year-old college student. Of course, she has to be 18, barely above the legal age. And this character is absolutely hyper-sexualized. Like almost every single image that I can find online, it was very, very sexualized. And you know that there are people out there who really deeply get off to stuff like this. Especially a character like this whose every image and portrayal is hyper-sexualized. I mean, I challenge you, Google the name and look for an image that isn't dirty in some way. So when a character is typically portrayed in ways like this, which leads people to develop crushes on the character and, do things while they're looking at the character, if you know what I'm saying, and then you release a child version of that character as a toy, covered in some sort of white cream. I'm not even going to really describe the rest of this thing. I think you guys can tell what is so wrong about this. And I just cannot believe that they would actually not only create this toy, but go on to sell it, promote it to people, and try to turn this into something that it never should have been in the very first place. So that's why it's disturbing in my opinion. If you want to hear me rant more about topics like this, listen to my podcast, The Conspiracy Files, available on all streaming platforms. The show's also on YouTube.
These people get
Broke it down
trapped in an
perfectly.
elevator and they have no cell reception. So they use the call button to call the building concierge. But the concierge refuses to call the fire department.
You guys refuse to call the fire department because you're gonna say Monday. Is that the case?
The procedure is for the security on site to do that, but I've let them know.
Yeah, but call the fire department. It's emergency.
So they're stuck in this elevator for an hour and a half. They were apparently in there so long that the woman who was in there with them is about to pass out. So they start begging.
We have a woman that's about to pass out. What's not the emergency?
I need to get out, please, please, please.
But the concierge still refuses to call the fire department to let them out, saying,
Sickening.
just wait on our technician.
The fire department will also wait on the technicians as well.
So why is she refusing to call the fire department? So apparently the fire department will fine the building if they have to come out too many times for things like elevator problems.
You're not calling it because it costs $10,000 to get fire department here. It's a way to save money.
So a lot of these buildings will do everything they can to avoid calling them. And people want to call the fire department because, firemen get there fast. And as part of the fire code, they have access to the elevator room and they have elevator keys to like every operational elevator in the city. So when the concierge said firemen wait for the technician,
The fire department will also wait on the technicians as well.
hell no, they don't. Firemen don't wait for anybody. Fire department will cut your damn front door open just to get you out. Those guys don't play around. So eventually, you can guess what happened. The woman passed out, or maybe she's taking a nap. I don't know, the footage doesn't actually specify. But the concierge never called the fire department, and the people trapped in the elevator had to wait an hour and a half for the building maintenance guy to show up and let them out. I'm gonna take a wild guess here and say that that building is getting sued.
Everyone's heck yeah, we're soothing, bro. Them trying to save a measly 10K, man, but a woman's about to pass out. That's just shameful, man. Shameful activity right there. I'm stuck in the elevator for an hour and you refuse to call the fire department, man, because you trying to save some money? Nah. You gonna lose weight. You gonna lose some more money, man, when I hit you with that freaking with that lawsuit. Somebody coming out of their coins, man.
Once in a while, animals will do things that not even science can fully explain, and apparently, that's what happened in 2005. Because that's when a 12-year-old Ethiopian girl was kidnapped and beaten by a group of men who were trying to get her to marry one of them. Nasty work, repugnant even. After being missing for over a week, it was getting to the point where her family was just expecting the worst. But eventually she was found, except with a different kind of predator. Because according to the story, they found the injured and traumatized girl surrounded by a group of lions, almost like they were guarding her. And once police arrived, the lions calmly retreated back into the forest like they clocked out of a shift or something. Which has led many people to believe that not only did the lions chase off her attackers, they stayed with her until help came. Now what a lot of scientists believe actually happened is that the little girl's cries might have sounded like that of a lion cub, and since lions are naturally wary of people, honestly, couldn't blame them. Once the police, aka other humans, arrived, that's when the lions decided to fall back. But we've also seen lions do things like this. I'm not gonna act like I know the answer, but sometimes you gotta just stop asking why and just appreciate what's in front of you. The more you know.
Scariest urban legend from each state, part 4. Robert the doll from Florida. A young boy named Eugene was gifted this doll as a birthday present. Eugene had Robert sleep next to him every single night, until a random night where Eugene woke up and saw Robert sitting across the room from him. After that night, things changed. They noticed every night that they heard footsteps in the attic, and something running up and down the stairs. He was inhabited by some demonic spirit, even having the neighbors say that they saw Robert looking through the window of the attic every single night. Robert is currently in an extremely safe spirit box in the East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida. It's stated if you make eye contact or take a picture with Robert without his permission, some seriously bad things can happen to you.
Stay away from Robert, bro. Good thing he didn't go missing like the Annabelle doll. That was a saga, man. But they found her, right? I'm going to say they found her and they put her back in their, I guess, special box or something.
Disturbing facts that'll keep you awake. Apparently 30% of people see strange things in a hallway when it's pitch black. Are you one of those people? And I found this next one pretty disgusting. But did you know bed mattresses gain weight over time? Due to all the dead skin, sweat and bodily fluids we have. And did you know unlike other predators, bears won't try to kill you before eating you. A bear will just start eating straight away. But the good thing is, if a bear is following you, you'll most likely hear him. But if a mountain lion is following you, you're most likely done for. And while on the topic of animals, did you know tarantulas travel in swamps of tens of thousands? And apparently there's a town in Australia where this phenomenon actually happens once a year, and it's terrifying.
I will not be going there. What the
Normal
hell?
things you should never do in Japan. Alright, so first you should never blow your nose in public, because apparently it's considered impolite and people might start staring at you. So try finding a private place to do it. Next, it is pretty common to wear shoes indoors, right? But in Japan you have to remove your shoes when you go into someone's house. If you don't, it might be the last time they invite you. And I'm sure if you're from the US, you've given a tip before, right? But if you do it in Japan, it is considered rude, and some places don't even accept it at all. But finally, if you have tattoos but you want to go to public baths, you will most likely be denied, because tattoos are still associated with organized crime, such as the Yakuza and other gangs.
Damn,
Creepy facts you probably don't know, but you're about to. Part 2. At one time, doctors thought that babies didn't feel pain. It took up until 1987 for the American Academy of Pediatrics to declare that it was unethical to operate on babies without anesthesia. So that means for years, babies were forced to just sit there and suffer through surgery without any form of pain control or anesthetics. So yeah, that's kind of scary.
It truly is, man.
Hearing those, I'm sorry, but that's why
you should never do this. This is 17-year-old Michael Dumas. He was on a church trip to Florida with some of his friends. While on this trip, they went to Pompano Beach, and he would be buried in the sand as you see here. He'd soon be unburied and all would be well until later that night when he would wake up in the middle of the night and be itching like crazy and sweating. At first, this would be labeled as an ear infection and he would be sent home with drops. But it would soon be obvious that that's not what it was, as he started to develop these raised, bumpy rashes. And he became pretty lethargic, just wanting to sleep all the time. It got even worse to the point where he was having these big, nasty blisters. And that's when he'd finally be diagnosed with cutaneous larva migrans, which is pretty much dog or cat hookworm. So pretty much these work by the dog or the cat pooping in the sand and contaminating it, and then not long after, these microscopic larvae hatch, and then you step in this contaminated sand and you end up looking like Michael. After all of this, he ended up developing a staph infection as well. And if it's not bad enough just him getting infected, 5 others from this trip got infected with hookworm as well.
Disturbing body facts that might ruin your day. If you have a surgery where your other organs need to be moved around, they might not function a day after the surgery because the body assumes they're just dead. Next, the brain is the last thing to function when you pass away, meaning in most cases you will hear, feel and smell your last moments on Earth. And it's possible to die from a pimple, let me explain. If a pimple gets infected, let's say from you itching it, the infection could get into your bloodstream, causing you to have an intense fever. Then a few days later you will start having seizures and vomiting everywhere, so try not to play too much with your pimples. And finally, it's possible to get brain damage from a toothache, because if you have a tooth infection, there's a high chance of it getting to the brain if it's not taken care in time.
I had that a couple of days ago, man. Toothaches are the worst.
Celebrity chef and host of Worst Cooks in America, Anne Burrell, was found dead in her New York home this morning. Dead at the relatively young age of 55. If you don't know who Anne was, she was the host of one of America's most popular food shows, Worst Cooks in America. Side note, I was actually cast on this show a few years ago. They flew me out to New York City. I got to meet the cast that ended up filming that season. Now, they did end up replacing me and then flying me out back home. I never made it onto the show and I never got to meet Anne. But if I would have been given the chance, I would have loved to have competed. Anne was born in 1969 in New York. She discovered her love for food at a young age. She attended various culinary institutes before moving into the restaurant world, and eventually she made her way into television, and finally at one point was cast in the starring role in the television show Worst Cooks. Now, just 5 days ago, Anne posted this photograph on her Instagram, and strangely enough, she looks glowing. She looks incredibly happy and healthy. And an official cause of death has not been released yet. I couldn't find any information about this anywhere, and so it's really unknown exactly what happened here and why it happened. But Anne is definitely going to be missed by all. RIP to her. And yeah, if there are any more significant updates, I'll be sure to hop on and make another video for you guys.
The Teletubbies conspiracy theory claims that the show was inspired by events that happened in a Bulgarian mental facility called La La Land. Children there were isolated from the others and placed in dark rooms. But apparently 4 of those children died on the same day, inspiring the Teletubbies. Lala apparently had facial disfigurement and was isolated for 5 years. And that inspired the Teletubby Lala. Toy-Tay was a deaf, facially disfigured kid who was tied to a fence outside and had gotten frostbitten from the cold. This inspired Tinky Winky. Donka, who was starved and was very, very sick, would lay in his own vomit for days, inspired Dipsy. And finally, Paulina, who had fell into a fire and was roasted alive, inspired Poe. But you won't believe the reason they were called the Teletubbies. You see, the children's main source of entertainment in their rooms were their TVs. They were as small as a small iPad. Sometimes when they heard their toys was going to be confiscated, they would hide them in their mouths. And they had just found out that the institution was going to get rid of the TVs. And they didn't want that, and they couldn't hide the TVs in their mouths. So one of them had the great idea to hide them in their stomachs, because that's the only place they could fit. Mind you, these kids are a little bit not all the way there. So they came up with a plan to rip their insides out in order to fit the TVs inside and hide them. They tried it, and the next morning, the caregiver walked in on all 4 children dead.
Creepy theory, man. But I heard that the Teletubbies conspiracy theory is supposed to be cat. And like I said, see, because we all
guys, you're gonna like this one. We have an internet magician, the card guy, who wants to get barbecued. All right then. Man, first of all, you look like Tom Hardy if he worked at Applebee's. You look like a present-day Screech. And bro, what is up with those big-ass ears? Can you hear the future? Do you use a shower head as earbuds? And what does Neptune sound like? And that's a pretty sick beard there, Meth Rogan. Yeah, I guess if I did street magic, I'd want to hide my face too. And yeah, what kind of magic tricks do you do? I mean, you're pretty good at making smiles disappear. And do you call yourself card guy because you have to card the women you date? And what was it like being on that episode of Futurama? And was that you in that video screaming, "Just do it"? Alright, card guy, there's your roast, man. Hey dude, your magic tricks are really cool. Keep up the good work. But there's one trick I really think you should try. I want you to do that one that Siegfried and Roy did.
Damn, online roast, bro.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, Part 5. Despite if you're using incognito mode, Wi-Fi routers actually keep logs of what websites you visit, and the owner of the router can check this whenever they want. So hopefully you don't have anything to hide. A woman in Russia had a shit ton of twins, triplets, and quadruplets with the same man, totaling to 69 children.
What the?
Nice. Tarantulas taste like shrimp. According to some cannibals, the most delicious part of the human body is the eyeball, and they especially like licking them. The skin on your lips is the same skin that's on your butthole. Dolphins sometimes bite off the head of a fish and masturbate into the decapitated body. A bubble caused by false vacuum decay could be growing through our universe right now, destroying everything it touches, and we would have no idea because it travels at the speed of light. 2020, please no.
Scary facts you wish you never knew. There's a shack called the Devil's Toy Box in Louisiana, and for some reason people who go in lose their minds. You know the tingly feeling you get when you eat a pineapple? Well, that's because the pineapple is eating you. It has an enzyme called bromelain, and that enzyme eats meat, which you're made of. I'm gonna stick to watermelon. No one can comment on this video and get 0 likes. Sharks have been around for 420 million years, meaning they have survived all 4 big mass extinctions, making them older than dinosaurs, Mount Everest, and even some trees on this planet. Yet we could potentially see them go extinct in our lifetime. The person who invented homework came up with the idea as a punishment for his students. Now you can check if your phone activity is being monitored. Just click on share, slide all the way to the end, click more, and if any apps appear before your contacts, you should delete it immediately. This is a photo of Lyndon B. Johnson. In it, he's being sworn as president, just 2 hours after JFK was unalived. And the woman he's standing next to is Jackie Kennedy, who still had her husband's blood on her shirt. Lyndon B. Johnson turned to his friend, Albert Thompson, while Albert smirked and winked back. The photographer who captured the picture called the photo completely sinister. Doja Cat scares me. Studies show that people who like and follow me get smarter every day.
Let's talk about one of the worst torture methods in history. This brings us to something called the tub. So as you see here, the chosen one would be crammed into a wooden tub with only their head exposed. They would then have milk and honey smeared and poured on top their head and face. Then brings the flies. These flies and other insects just swarm to the person attracted by this milk and honey, and there they just continue to annoy the person, causing them extreme distress and discomfort. If that's not bad enough, then you're stuck in this wooden tub in agony with all these bugs all over you, and you can't move at all because you're crammed in there so tight. And to really just torture them even more, they'd feed the person over and over again, which, you know, makes you gotta go. And I'm sure you can imagine how that goes, with it eventually piling up until it's just covering all around you. This would then lead to the maggots and the worms, which come from this, and they pretty much just eat you alive. It's said the longest a person lasted in this was 17 whole days, and they pretty much decayed alive.
Now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it. So the other day, a Reddit user posted this photo to Reddit. It's of his apartment at night. He had been complaining of hearing rustling noises in his apartment over the last couple nights. Many users thought they could kind of see something in this area of his kitchen, but I couldn't, so I looked at the brightened version. This is the photo brightened. And I know what you're gonna say, yes, it does look like Keanu Reeves, but look at how tall he is compared to the fridge. But it gets so much worse. This is a video he took of his apartment at night where you can see something happen to the light in the kitchen. But let's look at the brightened version.
You can see the shadow right there, bro.
Yes, it's terrifying, but is it a ghost?
I don't know. I think that somebody in his house. That ain't really no ghost. You might have a squatter.
I found this while thrifting. Is this art or something else?
Careful when you're thrifting, or you might run into something like this. This, my friends, is a porcelain doll. Click the plus, drop a like, tag a friend, share with 3, or this might come after you. Though it's actually stated that most porcelain dolls are actually extremely haunted, of spirits that don't want to be messed with. You see how it's perfectly woven? It needs to stay that way. Those knots are not meant to come undone. Who knows what lives inside of that doll? I think the best plan of attack is to put that doll back exactly where you found it. Hopefully it's not too late. Hopefully you didn't already take it home, or show people, or even try and open the doll all the way. Because if that's the case, well, things are gonna get really weird in your life. Everyone always jokes about the Annabelle doll, but if you think about it, it's in a giant glass case with pages from the Bible in it to keep what's ever inside of it inside of that case. I would put it back before it's too late.
Yeah, I know we don't do dolls over here, Seekers, man. They creeping to me.
3 ways to survive a skinwalker. Number 1, don't ever whistle in the woods. No matter if it's daytime or nighttime, that's a calling signal, meaning that you're letting the skinwalker know exactly where you are. Number 2, pray as hard to whatever you believe in as possible. Skinwalkers are demonic creatures, being so that they were transformed this way because they are cannibals, and have killed before. Number 3, white ash tree rubbed bullets may be one of the only other ways to stop a skinwalker in its tracks. Of course, most people don't have those laying around, so if you're in an area where you think you may or may not be able to run into one, you may want to pack those just in case. Don't forget to like and follow for another episode.
This ride malfunction might be a symptom of a much bigger problem. This video shows the moment where the Atmosphere ride at Oaks Amusement Park in Oregon malfunctioned, leaving 28 people hanging upside down for 30 minutes. Hazen Hathorn was one of the riders on the ride, and a fun fact is that he doesn't have freckles. Those are all broken blood vessels that occurred from hanging upside down for so long. We don't know exactly why the ride malfunctioned just yet. There's still an investigation ongoing, but this is maybe a symptom of a much bigger issue that's happening. And that's the fact that in America, there's little to no regulations for theme park rides, meaning there's not really a standard for how often rides are maintained to be deemed safe. I literally just did a whole episode on this for the podcast where I talk about other theme park disasters that have happened throughout history. This picture is actually from a theme park ride test where the flume completely flew off of the ride, and that ride would go on to open and claim the life of a 10-year-old boy. And that's because the creator of the ride wasn't an engineer, he was just a hobbyist. But in America, if you can dream up a ride, you can make it. For instance, in Florida, parks with over 1,000 workers don't even have officials from the state inspect the rides for safety. Now, giving them the benefit of the doubt, no one died on this ride, and I'm sure it was made by engineers and not just some guy. If you want to hear about more theme park disasters that occurred throughout history because of our lack of safety regulations in America, you should check out episode 70 of the Heart Starts Pounding podcast.
Let's talk about this.
See, that's how I'm figuring. I'm a person who be like stays away from roller coasters. I rode a couple, man, but I'm not a big like roller coaster type of person. I didn't even know the freaking security, man, was so laxed on the regulations on those rides. See, I had a feeling, man. It saved me.
This picture. Captured in 2008 by Daniel Young, this is one of the only pieces of evidence that this encounter actually happened. So Daniel was a custodian at Myrtle Elementary School where he worked the night shift. It's a pretty routine night. He's just listening to music when he's suddenly interrupted by the sound of a woman's laughter. He turned around and was terrified when he saw an unknown woman smiling from behind the corner. This was a locked school on after hours, so clearly she was an adult who broke in, so he tried to snap a picture to identify her and then chases after her. But when he turned the corner, she had already darted out of an emergency exit. Later that night, police are called to a home where they arrive at a tragedy. An unknown woman had broken into a nearby home where she knifed two parents, one who was the principal of this school, so brutally they were unrecognizable. One of the daughters who witnessed this woman before she got away described her as this person. Could this photo be of the same unknown woman? And what her connection is to the school and the principal, we don't know.
Kids who have unalived someone, part 4. 15-year-old Alyssa Bustamante convinced her younger sister to go to the neighbors 4 houses down and convince their 9-year-old daughter, Elizabeth Olton, to come out and play. Elizabeth's mother was hesitant at first because dinner was almost ready, but she agreed. Alyssa's sister had no idea what her older sister was up to. Once she was in the clear and away from her home, Alyssa proceeded to strangle Elizabeth, as well as slit her throat and stab her in the chest, and then bury her in the hole she had dug days before. After committing this crime, Alyssa wrote in her diary, "It was amazing. Once you get over the oh my god feeling, it's actually pretty enjoyable." She was sentenced to life in prison.
That's an insane story right there. You wouldn't believe until you heard it.
Creepiest things kids have ever said. A woman drove past a cemetery with her 3-year-old daughter in the back seat every day. The 3-year-old kept telling her mom that people in the cemetery were waving at her. This went on for a while until the woman stopped driving past the cemetery forever when the daughter said that a lady wanted her to come in. A family moved into a new furnished apartment with an unsettling painting in the bedroom that kind of looked like hair free-flowing in the air. The 2-year-old son was being settled in for his daily nap until suddenly he said he didn't want to sleep in that room. When mom asked why, he said, "This painting looks at me and tries to talk to me, and I don't like it." A 4-year-old girl spent every day with her great-grandmother, and every day she'd go home, she'd say, "God be with you." One time when she was leaving, she said, "Go with God." Her mother tried to correct her, but she said it again. That night, the great-grandmother passed away. Follow for more of the
Disturbing and scary facts you didn't know. Part 2. A man named Francesco Lentini had 3 legs, 4 feet, 16 toes, and 2 sets of functioning male genitals. He worked for a circus and lived until the age of 78. During the early 1990s, a serial killer named Joseph Matheny owned a burger stand located in Baltimore, Maryland. After his arrest in 1996, he confessed to feeding his customers the flesh of at least 3 humans he had murdered. Now, you can check if your phone activity is being monitored. Just click on Share, slide all the way to the end, click More, and if any apps appear before your contacts, you should delete it immediately. Albert Fish, an American serial killer, boasted that he killed in every state and claimed to have had over 100 victims. What makes him even more sickening is that he sent letters to his victims' parents to tell them how good their children tasted. A new homeowner was shocked to find a rag doll boarded up in a wall cavity clutching a note saying she killed a family.
Urban legends that were proven to be real, part 1. The Candy Lady. In the early 1900s, children in an unnamed rural town in Texas started to go missing, and the residents blamed it on the Candy Lady. The story says that she would go around leaving candy on children's windows, and eventually she'd lure the kids out with notes attached promising more candy. The story picked up steam when a farmer allegedly found rotten teeth in his farm, later found the body of a boy with his pockets stuffed with candy. Fall for next urban legend.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. There are thousands of old diseases frozen in the glaciers of the world, and global warming will eventually release them all. If a person dies in their costume at Disney, like Mickey Mouse, they have to be sat down on a bench so it looks like they're resting. Climate change is making spiders bigger. Some female spiders allow their young to eat them alive. Tooth in the eye surgery is when surgeons put a tooth in a blind person's eye to restore their sight. It was pioneered in the 1960s, and it actually works, and it's still being done today. The chances of a successful CPR outside of a hospital is only 7%. Cell phones are 10 times dirtier than a toilet seat. When you suddenly wake up during the night without any reason, there was someone or something staring at you. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 12.
We are dead. This conspiracy theory is going to mess you up. If you don't want me to ruin your day, just keep on scrolling. Go on, keep on scrolling. Trust me, you don't want to see this. Right, so for everyone that's still here, let's get into it. Right, so it's scientifically proven that when we die, our mind is still functioning. And it's true that our life literally does flash before our eyes. There's a 7-minute period of time where you will re-watch your entire life. But it won't feel like 7 minutes, it will feel like forever. It's also proven that there is no possible way that we could know we're in that state. What I mean is there is no way you would know you're dead and rewatching your life. You just think it's your life. What I'm trying to say is we could all be dead, laying in a hospital bed somewhere. And this reality is just our life flashing before our eyes in a weird way. What the hell?
Did you know it? I didn't even think about it like that. Say your life flashed before your eyes, man, but it feels like a lifetime. So are we in that state right now? Got me asking some good questions.
A teenager once hacked a military satellite using a school computer. In 2002, 17-year-old Jamie Brooks from Nebraska stayed after class, telling his teacher he was working on a science project. What no one knew was that Jamie had built his own software, using outdated manuals he found in a junk shop and code he copied from a cracked video game. One night, he managed to access a decommissioned U.S. military satellite and briefly redirected its camera. For exactly 42 seconds, it live-streamed a secret government facility in Nevada. A few people online caught the footage. One frame showed something odd. Not a person, not a vehicle, but a figure with glowing eyes. Within hours, Jamie's computer was fried. 2 men in suits showed up at the school. Jamie never returned. His family claimed he was sent to a special program, but no one ever heard from him again. To this day, the footage is gone. But some users claim fragments still exist, buried deep in forums, behind encrypted logins. So, what exactly did Jamie see?
Scary movies that we all saw as kids
What
that
did he see?
terrified us. This is the movie Monster House. The movie is about 3 friends named DJ, Chowder, and Jenny, who discover that DJ's neighbor's house is actually a living, breathing, scary monster who eats innocent children and people. The house is owned by a scary and evil old man named Nebber Cracker. DJ, Chowder, and Jenny make it their mission to destroy the house so no more innocent people get eaten. But it turns out that the house is haunted and possessed by Nebber Cracker's wife, Constance, who died in the basement by getting covered in cement. This movie is extremely creepy and scary, and it's definitely one of my favorite animated scary movies ever. If you want to watch this movie now, it's actually on Netflix. But I must say, after watching this movie, you might have a hard time sleeping.
I think I remember seeing it as a kid.
Yo, what's up? Here's some facts that will probably ruin your childhood. Part 2. You guys remember Sleeping Beauty, right? Well, what if I told you that the original story went like this? It was a princess who was sexually assaulted while she was sleeping. The guy left, and the only reason she woke up is because she found out she was pregnant with twins, and the guy came back, and they fell in love without her even realizing that she was sexually assaulted in her sleep. You guys remember Pee Wee Herman, right? A pretty goofy character. Well, in 1991, the actor that played Pee Wee Herman, Paul Reubens, was arrested for indecent exposure at an adult movie theater in public, meaning he probably pulled out his private parts and, well, yeah. You guys remember the Power Rangers, right? Well, how about in particular the Red Power Ranger, played by Ricardo Medina, who actually stabbed his roommate in real life with a sword and killed him. And finally, Peter Pan was written about the author's brother, who was 13 at the time when he died after falling and cracking his skull while ice skating.
Creepiest things kids have ever said. A man's mother passed away in a car accident when he was 6 years old. When his 2-year-old daughter saw a picture of her grandmother for the first time, she laughed. He asked her, "What's so funny?" She looked at him and said, "That's my special friend who sings to me." A man's 3-year-old daughter stood next to her newborn brother and looked at him for a while. She turned back to her dad and said, "Daddy, it's a monster. We should bury it." A woman and her 4-year-old son were out in public when all of a sudden he starts rubbing on her belly and talking to it. She asked what he was doing, and he said, "I'm talking to the baby." She informed him politely that she was not pregnant, and then he said, "There is a baby in your belly. I just saw it crawl across the floor and climb up into you." A woman's 5-year-old asked when he was going to be 23 years old. She told him in 18 years. He replied, "Well, I hope I don't die again because that's how old I was the last time I went to heaven." Follow for more of the...
I'm gonna make your childhood even better, part 2. So we all remember Fred and Daphne from the Scooby-Doo movies, right? From these Scooby-Doo movies? Well, Fred and Daphne actually got married in real life and even have 2 kids together. Pretty cool.
Wow, I never knew that. That was a classic
I'm gonna
movie,
ruin your childhood, part 80. So everyone remembers Max from the Wizards of Waverly Place, right? Well, after Disney, he had some struggles. In 2014, he had a huge meltdown backstage at the Teen Choice Awards. A bunch of witnesses claimed that he yelled at a worker because the worker didn't know who he was. And it got so bad that he threw things at a staffer and stormed off, but it gets way worse. A couple years later, he was involved in a 4-car hit and run. His car smashed into 3 parked cars. But the craziest part is, after hitting the 3 parked cars, he just called an Uber and left the scene like that. And to make matters even worse, he got arrested for drunk driving just a little while after that as well.
Is that why he was in it?
52-year-old Texas resident Karen Davis got married, and then after the ceremony and after the honeymoon, she went through the process of changing her last name from Davis to McBride to match her husband's last name. After the change was done, the last step was to get a new driver's license with the new name on it. So Karen emailed the local DMV to set up a time for her to come in and make the change to her license. But after she sent that email, the local DMV immediately emailed Karen back, and they told her that they could not help her with this request until she resolved an issue. They very cryptically said it had something to do with the state of Oklahoma. And then at the bottom of the email, there was just a phone number they told her she needed to call in order to resolve this issue. She punched this number the DMV had given her into her phone, and then she let it ring. A few moments later, a woman from the Norman, Oklahoma District Attorney's Office picked up the phone and said, "How can I help you?" Karen told her, "Hey, I was just trying to get a new license in Texas. They told me there was some sort of issue. I don't know what it is, but this is the number they gave me." The woman from the DA's office discovered Karen's so-called Oklahoma problem. And after she explained to Karen what this enormous problem was, Karen literally couldn't believe it. Suddenly, everything in Karen's life made sense. For the last 22 years, Karen, who was incredibly smart and friendly and polite and never had a problem with anyone, had an incredibly hard time getting a job. Even jobs that she was extremely qualified for, she would get turned down for someone who was way less qualified. And then, in the rare times that Karen did actually get hired, she would always get fired for no reason. And so Karen never understood why she was being treated this way until now. It would turn out 22 years earlier, which is when Karen's hireability issues began, she lived in Norman, Oklahoma. She lived with a roommate, and this roommate was this nice young man who had a couple of young kids, and one weekend he went to the local movie store called Movie Place, and he rented the hit 90s movie Sabrina the Teenage Witch to watch with his kids. And after he was done watching this movie, he didn't return the VHS tape of Sabrina the Teenage Witch back to Movie Place. When Sabrina the Teenage Witch was not returned in a timely fashion, they pressed charges against the cardholder. And the cardholder was Karen Davis. The roommate had just borrowed her card. And somehow, these charges against Karen were never brought up to Karen. She was never contacted by anyone, and so for 22 years, she was technically a wanted felon for felony embezzlement. And so this was the reason she kept not getting jobs and kept getting fired from jobs. Karen worked with the Norman, Oklahoma DA's office and got these charges dismissed.
The
hid their daughter's body in their family restaurant. On January 2017, 5-year-old Ashley Zhao was beaten to death by her mother, 30-year-old Ming Ming. Ming Ming then reported Ashley missing and said that she went to take a nap in the family restaurant's back room, and when she came to check up on her that night, she was gone. But after police investigated, they found that no one saw Ashley leave the restaurant. The next day, police found Ashley's body lifeless in the family restaurant's back room. After interviewing Ashley's parents, Ming Ming admitted to hitting her daughter repeatedly in the head, and then she passed away. Apparently, she did this because Ashley was having accidents. After the beating, Ashley's father noticed that she was gasping for air and green fluid was coming out of her mouth, and then she stopped breathing. Ming Ming then ordered her husband to hide their daughter's body in the backroom restaurant. The couple basically carried on with the restaurant's hours of operation while their daughter laid lifeless in the back room. Ashley's father pleaded guilty and received 12 years in prison, and Ming Ming was sentenced to 22 years in prison.
Here's 5 things.
Mimi sounded like she was possessed by the damn devil. That's something. That's like demonic behavior right there, bro. And y'all just moving on with the rest of your day acting like nothing happened. Just going back to just selling food at y'all restaurant. You gotta keep a close eye out, Seekers, man.
Things our parents lied to us about. Cracking your knuckles will give you arthritis. This isn't true. The noise is caused by negative pressure temporarily pulling nitrogen gas into the joint. If you swallow gum, it will stay in your stomach for 7 years. This is not true. It will be excreted within a few days. Sitting too close to the TV will hurt your eyes. This is actually a very popular misconception. A long-term extensive study has shown that myopia in children has nothing to do with this. If you keep going cross-eyed, you'll get stuck like that forever. This is simply false. Your hair will grow faster the more often you cut it. This isn't true. There are a number of factors affecting it, such as age, hormones, and even the time of year.
Here are 3 terrifying animals that you're glad are extinct. Number 1, the Megalodon shark. This animal grew up to 60 feet long, and one tooth could be the size of a human. Megalodons were meat-eating creatures that could literally kill anything. Number 2, the Caprasuchus. This animal is a crocodile T-Rex hybrid. It has long legs and is extremely fast. I can guarantee that you won't be able to outrun this guy. Number 3, the Titanoboa. This snake weighed about 2,000 pounds and grew up to 40 feet long. This snake would kill their prey with constriction, which means they would suffocate them to death.
That doesn't look like something out of Anaconda, bro. Like that one Ice Cube fought at the end. Glad those gone, man. I don't do snake seekers. I just can't do that. That's an edit. Spot them out.
Here's what would happen to you if you just stopped eating. In the first 6 hours, everything would be normal as your body breaks down food to provide energy for your brain. But after 6 hours, all that energy is used up. So you begin to starve, entering a state called ketosis, which is when your body uses excess fat to produce energy. After 72 hours, your body will begin breaking down muscle for energy, essentially eating itself. And after 1 to 2 weeks, you're more likely to die from the common cold than starvation.
Morbid Facts, Part 467. In 2013, double amputee and 4-time Paralympic gold medalist Oscar Pistorius shot his girlfriend 3 times through a locked bathroom door, claiming he mistook her for an intruder. During his murder trial, Pistorius removed his prosthetics and hobbled on his stumps, while apparently attempting to garner sympathy and a more lenient sentence. But the judge wasn't buying it and sentenced the athlete to 15 years in prison for murder. This is the skeleton of a female vampire pinned to the ground with a sickle across her throat to prevent her from returning from the dead. It was found during an archaeological dig at a 17th century cemetery in Poland. In the late 1800s, there is an urban legend about a demonic figure roaming around the Arizona deserts that killed multiple people. It turned out to be a feral camel with the decaying corpse of a male soldier strapped to its back. Likely the tragic result of Jefferson Davis's attempt to create a camel division in the U.S. Army.
The camel was eaten?
Here's why bees die after stinging you. When a bee stings you, it buries its barbed stinger deep into your skin. Then it releases a dose of venom filled with protein-rich substances that makes the sting painful. The venom also affects your skin cells and can also affect your immune system. But all of this comes at a huge cost to the bee. After inserting their barbed stinger into a person, they are unable to pull it out. The only way they can free themselves from the stinger is to rip their bodies apart, leaving the stinger behind. Unfortunately, the stinger also contains parts of the bee's muscles, nerves, and digestive tract. And without these vital body parts, the bees cannot survive and suffer a gory death.
So when that bee hits you like this, it's it, bro. It got its one good hit in, and then it just like, hey, that's all I got. I'm out, bro. Wow. And the more you learn about these animals, these insects, truly changes the way you think, man. If you told me that as a kid, I wouldn't believe it.
This woman was married to a TikTok serial killer for 7 years, but now she's turning back to TikTok for help. You see, this is her ex, Kareem Salih, but before he became known as the New Cairo Butcher, he was a TikToker with over 600,000 followers teaching people American slang. But then, in May this year, he was arrested for the murder of multiple women in Egypt, and a few months later was found guilty and sentenced to death. This case was huge in Arab media due to how shocking the crimes were. Investigators found that he had soundproofed his apartment so that when he tortured his victims, no one would hear them scream. It was so gruesome that when videos which he would record himself were played in court, his entire defense team of 5 lawyers immediately withdrew from the case and apologized to the judge for ever representing him. And I'm skimming over this, but it's like Ray William Johnson next video kinda bad. Anyway, his ex-wife, who had a child with Kareem but had been separated for the past 3 years, claimed that she had to go into hiding and flee to the UK because he tried to kill her and her sister multiple times. But then just yesterday in a TikTok, she said that Kareem had taken her son and he's now with Kareem's mother either in Egypt or America. So she's desperately trying to raise awareness so she can find him and be reunited. And if you want more details, I've tagged her profile below.
Man, she was ready to a TikTok. Freaking sick. Bro, I'm telling you, man, these social medias, bro, personalities, you never know what's behind them. How did he have a following that big and he was getting away with it for that long? Makes you look at the world differently.
Morbid Facts, Part 466. During an SAS training exercise in 1996, 21-year-old Bear Grylls broke his back after falling 16,000 feet when his parachute failed to open. His surgeon wasn't sure if Grylls would ever walk again, but the survival expert climbed Mount Everest just 18 months later, becoming the youngest Brit to ever do it. Here's a photo of 13-year-old Barbara Kent and her fellow campers playing in a New Mexico river, just hours before the first atomic bomb was tested 40 miles away from them. Over the next few days, the area was covered in fallout flakes that the campers thought was snow, only it was hot instead of cold. The US government had selected the site for its supposed isolation, but in reality, thousands of people were within a 40-mile radius and weren't evacuated nor warned before the test. Despite being diagnosed with 4 different types of cancers throughout her life, Barbara was the only girl in the above photo who lived past the age of 30, somehow making it to 83.
I never knew that fact about New Mexico. They didn't even evacuate.
You guys remember when this man attacked the judge after she gave him a sentencing that he wasn't too happy with? So before this happened, he was sentenced to 19 months to 4 years in prison. But after attacking the judge, he was just sentenced to 26 to 65 years in prison. But this video made me feel so uneasy because look at him. He looks like he wants to jump over there and attack the prosecutor. Then he explains himself and says that on that day when he attacked the judge, he just saw red.
Like, this is not fair. All I see was red and all I heard her say, oh, this, like she said, and I finally watched the whole video. I was standing here in the courtroom with all of you guys. These are the best.
The question to myself, how did he have pops that high that he didn't like leapt that high and even got to the judge? That shouldn't have been possible. But look what happened, man. He said he saw red, now he got 65 to 25 years instead of that like lighter sentence before, man. Gotta think before you act, Seekers.
Best of
on the shelf pranks. These elves are ironing out the wrinkles in the chips. This elf is disguising the Brussels sprouts as chocolates. And this elf is doing target practice with a bottle of ketchup. At least his aim is kinda good. And this elf opened up his own car wash. And this elf managed to sneak his way up to the cookie jar. And this elf has a poop museum. But that's exactly what I expected the unicorn poop to look like. Make sure you don't have any of this freshly squeezed juice, because I don't think it's juice. They wrapped up the entire bathroom. How are you supposed to use that? And these elves are fishing in the sink. These elves know how to party. They're bungee jumping.
He was left in a tanning bed for 3 days until his body was discovered. On November 8th of this year, 39-year-old Derek Sink visited a Planet Fitness to sign up for a membership. He was accompanied by his girlfriend Heather and her daughter, but while he was signing up, they left to a nearby store. When they returned, Derek was gone. They noticed that Derek's car was still in the parking lot, but they believed that maybe he had left the gym. However, as the hours started to pass by with no sign of him, they started to get concerned. Derek's family finally reported him missing on November 10th. The next morning, Derek's probation officer had visited the gym, which was his last known location. He made a shocking discovery when they found his body inside of the tanning bed, and it was believed that he was there for 3 days. This discovery was made when a worker noticed a bad odor coming from the tanning area. As the investigation began, Derek was wearing an ankle monitor, and it revealed that he had never left the gym. Family members revealed that Derek struggled with addiction, and once his body was found, they found a needle in the tanning room with him. My biggest question is how the workers did not notice that his body was there for 3 days in that tanning bed. It really does not make sense.
Staying away from Planet Fitness, bro. They can't even check on if you can tan them in 3 days. What else are they doing to that equipment, man, that they're not checking out properly? 3 days, come on now. Staying out of that tanning room. That's a no for me.
These are the worst Christmas gifts of all time. Up first, we have this savage grandma. She sent her daughter a gift card, but it said, maybe next year you'll make us proud. Ouch. And here's another grandma who put almost no effort into the gift. She sent her granddaughter a used notebook with scribbles inside. Next, this guy asked his dad for a GPS for the new car he bought that year. But instead, his dad gifted him a map. And this girl received a creepy porcelain doll from her grandma. And she's been terrified of it ever since and believes it's haunted. Which I think it is.
Do you guys remember the 2 girls who recorded their murder before their bodies were found near a wooded area?
Trying to identify the suspect in this photo and this voice.
On February 2017, 13-year-old Abby Williams and 14-year-old Liberty German were walking along Delphi Historic Trails, Indiana, when they snapped these photos right before they went missing that evening. Police suspected that the man in this photo was involved in their disappearance and murder, but they didn't know who this man was. The girls' bodies were found the next day very close to where they took those photos. And police received multiple tips that the man in the recording and photo on Liberty's phone was 50-year-old Richard Allen. Richard was arrested and charged, but he pleaded not guilty and kept his innocence. But recently, on April 3rd of this year, Richard called his wife Kathy and confessed to murdering both Abby and Liberty. Investigators believe that Richard forced the girls down a hill and took their life with a .40 caliber.
Let's talk about what happened to Jacob
Finally admitted to
his
it.
killer is still out there. Jacob was born on July 1st, 1986 to his mother Brenda and to his father Gene in Texas. He had an older brother named Eric, and Eric was so excited about having a new baby brother. This is something that he really wanted for a long time, and the day that Jacob was born was just like the best day ever for everyone. Now their father Gene wasn't really in the picture. He was actually having an emotional affair with another woman, and when Brenda found out about that, she decided to leave him. She grabbed the 2 kids, she packed everything up, and they all moved to Socorro, New Mexico. Now, the reason they moved there is because that's where Brenda's family was, so she figured that they would be able to help watch the children while she went to work and, help provide for the family. Now, during this time, Brenda started to grow closer to an old family friend. Now, Eric asked that we do not use this man's name, so for the sake of the video, I'm just going to refer to him as Nick. Nick and Brenda pretty much grew up together. His sister actually married Brenda's brother, and his aunt was Eric's godmother. So in a way, they all had some type of connection, and when Nick entered their life, Eric was very happy about this. Nick was very kind to him. He would watch movies with Eric, he would take care of baby Jacob, and Eric just felt like this was the father figure that he had been looking for. He was just very charismatic, and in December of 1986, Brenda and Nick decided to move in together with the 2 children. Unfortunately, soon after Nick entered their lives, baby Jacob started to receive unexplained injuries. The first incident that happened is when Brenda noticed that Jacob had a skinned ear. So she took him to the doctor, and as they were trying to figure out what happened, Nick came over to Brenda and said that Eric was responsible for this injury. Said that Eric had picked up Jacob from his crib and then dropped him to the floor. That the reason he had done this is because Eric was jealous of his new baby brother. So Brenda goes over to Eric, she asks him about this, and she was able to get Eric to admit that yes, he did this. Now keep in mind that at this time, Jacob is only 6 to 7 months old, and Eric is 6 years old. So for a 6-year-old to reach over to a crib, pick up a baby, and then drop him to the ground, it just kind of seemed odd. But this is what Nick was telling Brenda. He was telling her that he had seen Eric be jealous before, and that this wasn't the first time that Eric had injured baby Jacob. The second injury occurred 2 to 3 weeks later. This is when the kid's grandmother, Merlinda, was taking care of baby Jacob and noticed a lump on his head. Took him to the doctor, and they told her that this injury came from a blow to the head and that Jacob had a hematoma, and that his injury needed to be drained and lanced immediately. This is a huge injury. This isn't something that's caused by just like playing around or getting a thump on the head. Once again, Nick blamed Eric for this injury, and he told Brenda that he saw Eric kick baby Jacob in the head. Eric says that he has no memory of actually kicking baby Jacob, but he just feels like that would not be possible. He was only 6 years old, so how could a kick from a 6-year-old cause such a big injury? Again, no one saw Eric kick baby Jacob. The only person that saw this was Nick. And at this point, he had been blaming Eric for all of these unexplained injuries that baby Jacob had. So after all of this happened, Brenda decided to send Eric to go live in California with his father. However, even with Eric out of the picture, the injuries to baby Jacob did not stop. Okay, more in part 2.
Things you've never seen before. NASCAR cars can actually go this fast. Here's a video x-ray of a dog devouring its food. And this is what the inside of a violin looks like. It looks like a 1-bedroom apartment in New York. Believe it or not, but right now you're looking at 1 million colors. In this picture, the color of each pixel is slightly different. This picture hasn't been photoshopped in any way. It's actually just the darkest material in the world. Before I tell you what it's called, I just found a way to make a bunch of new friends by live streaming with 0 requirements. So if you want to try live streaming, just press right here. Known as Vanna Black, this substance absorbs nearly all the light that strikes it. And when it's painted on a 3D object, it makes it look completely fake because of how dark it is.
Let's talk about the disappearance of 6-year-old Katie Jacobs and how this doll and a necklace helped solve her case. Katie had gone to the Potomac Mills Mall in Virginia with her family. At one point, she had gone off with her Aunt Susan and her cousin Jeremy to go play in the arcade. However, her Aunt Susan said that she needed to go and grave a lighter for her husband because his birthday was just around the corner, so she left Katie and Jeremy alone. Jeremy says that he was playing a video game while Katie was standing next to him and that she actually wanted to leave to go get some ice cream. So he finished up his game, and when he looked back to where Katie was standing, she was gone. He went to go tell his parents, and his mom called the police and reported her niece as missing. The police and the FBI arrived to the scene and immediately put the mall on lockdown. They began handing out flyers with Katie's face on them and were asking the crowd if anyone had seen her. However, no one in the mall had seen Katie. Now, a week earlier, a young girl named Jessica Davis had been abducted from a mall and found dead 3 days later. The FBI was worried that this might be the same offender, so they began to look through the surveillance footage at the mall to see if they could retrace Katie's last steps. They spot her leaving the arcade, and you can see her looking over at someone that's standing next to her, possibly walking alongside her, but they can't make out who this person is. And 7 seconds later, Katie disappears. There's no other footage of Katie leaving the mall, so they believe that she and her abductor are still inside. A canine dog tracks Katie's scent and leads police to a trash can. Inside the trash can, they found Katie's necklace. The clasp was broken, and it appeared as if someone had ripped this necklace from Katie's neck. With this information, the FBI no longer believes that Katie's abduction is related to Jessica Davis. This seems personal, and whoever ripped the necklace from Katie's neck did it with rage. Since they now believe that this is a family abduction, FBI agent Reed and Morgan head over to Katie's house to see if they can find any clues. There, they find this doll in Katie's room. They believe that this doll represents how Katie feels. She feels dirty and ugly. And Agent Reed and Morgan believe they know why. So back at the mall, FBI agents ask Katie's mom how she got this necklace. And she says that Katie just found it at school one day. Now, this necklace was very expensive, so there's no way that Katie just randomly found this at school. So why did she lie to her mom about it? This is when the FBI begins to get suspicious of Katie's family, so they interrogate Katie's Aunt Susan and her Uncle Richard separately. During his interrogation, Uncle Richard actually reveals that he hasn't smoked in over a month. Why did his wife Susan say that she left Katie and Jeremy alone to go and grave a lighter for him, if he hadn't even smoked in over a month? The FBI confronts Susan with this. She breaks down. It reveals that her husband Richard has been abusing Katie and that he was the one that gave her the necklace to keep quiet. Susan knew about the abuse, and instead of helping her niece, she decided to abduct Katie and get rid of her. She figured that if Katie was gone, then her husband would go back to loving her. Ends up telling the police where she hid Katie, and thankfully she was found alive and reunited with her family. Both Richard and Susan were arrested. Thankfully, this is a fictional story from the show Criminal Minds. If you want to watch the FBI's Behavior Analysis Unit catch more bad guys and solve more cases, you can watch Criminal Minds on Hulu.
The case of the boy in the box is truly haunting. On February 25th, 1957, authorities received a call of a mysterious box in the woods outside of Philadelphia. They were horrified to find the remains of a young boy who seemed to be about 4 to 6 years old. He was malnourished and covered in bruises, and his cause of death was determined to be blunt force trauma to the head. Not only is his case a mystery to this day, his identity has still never been found.
That's weird. Even with today's technology?
This is considered one of the most shocking cases in Polish history. On January 6, 1999, a sailor in Poland noticed something strange floating on the river. It was long and pale and it smelled very bad. And as he leaned in closer to get a better look, he saw an ear attached to it. Now what I'm about to say next is very disturbing, so be warned. After the sailor found this substance, DNA testing then indicated it was the skin of a missing woman named Katarzyna Zawada. And whoever did this to her turned her skin into a suit and was likely wearing it. So at this point, only her skin was found. Until January 14th, when pieces of her clothing and one leg was found also in the river. 17 years later, 52-year-old Robert J. was arrested for this. He previously worked in a dissection lab, meaning he was skilled in preparing animal skin. And he allegedly also knew the victim. As of October 2022, 23 years since the victim was found, Robert J. is still awaiting trial. As he remains in custody, investigators are allegedly gathering more evidence to solve the case. Follow for more.
So he's wearing a human skin suit. He skinned her alive and he was wearing her suit like a shapeshifter or something like that. Something you had out of a horror movie. Think about that, man. That's gonna rattle in your head for a while.
This is Charles Manson. He was the leader of the infamous commune/cult known as the Manson family. After spending his youth in and out of reform schools, Manson's first prison sentence came in 1956. He spent the next 11 years in and out of prison. In 1967 he was released from prison again and made his way to San Francisco. He became a sort of spiritual guru, with him and his followers, typically young women, being known as the Manson family. They created a home at Spahn Ranch in 1968. In July 1969, Gary Hinman was killed by the family. In August 1969, Sharon Tate, girlfriend of director Roman Polanski, was killed by the family. She was 8 months pregnant. The family also killed Jay Sebring, Abigail Folger, Wojtek Frykowski, Stephen Parent, Leno and Rosemary LaBianca, and Donald Shea. The murders were allegedly on the back of Manson's orders. There's so much more to this story and its background, so let me know if you'd like a part 2.
Yeah, the freaking cult doing all that for him, man. Manipulations.
One bone-chilling night in 1973, the 2 young McDaniel children claimed to see a creature lurking around their house. This isn't my typical true crime case, however, this story is too freaky not to talk about. The father actually didn't believe his children until one night when he heard something scratching at the side of their house. When shining the flashlight, it showed a human-like creature. Mr. McDaniel actually claimed it had 3 legs on it, a short body, 2 little short arms, and 2 pink eyes as big as flashlights. His story freaked the town out so much that police actually threatened that if he didn't stop talking about this creature, they would arrest him. By the time all of this was over, 5 men actually had been arrested because they fired shots into the air when they thought that they saw the creature.
They're gonna arrest him for telling a story? That doesn't make sense at all.
This woman literally chopped her baby's arms off with a kitchen knife, all because God told her to. Dina and John Schlosser lived in Plano, Texas with their 3 daughters, ages 9, 6, and 10 months old. On November 22nd, 2004, John got a call from Dina saying she'd just cut off their baby's arms. He thought she was joking, even though Dina had a history of mental illness. Regardless, when you hear a claim like that, it should be taken seriously. Instead of calling calling the police, John called the pastor of his church. The pastor told John to call someone who can check on Dina and their baby Margaret to make sure everything is okay. He then called his neighbor Carolyn, who worked at a daycare center in the area, and asked for them to check on Dina and Margaret. Carolyn called Margaret on the phone, and that's when things started to get real. It's unclear what the phone call entailed, but whatever it was, it led a fellow daycare employee to call the police. 911 dispatcher Steve Edwards then called Dina to see if everything was okay. Dina picked up the phone and calmly told Steve she just cut off her baby's arms. Steve asked Dina if she wanted to help her baby, and she smugly said no. As if this woman didn't already seem crazy enough, Steve said he heard church hymns playing in the background. Like, what is this woman's deal? With that, police officers and paramedics rushed to the scene. Officer David Tilley was the first to arrive. He found Dina covered in red fluid with a gash on her shoulder and a 9-inch kitchen blade in her hand. One report said she was sitting at her computer table, casually reading her Bible with the gospel song "He Touched Me" playing in the background. Oh my god, this is like straight out of a horror movie. David was able to convince Dina to hand him the blade, and when she did, he noticed pieces of flesh on it. Ugh, I bet his stomach was in knots. More officers showed up, and they found the almost 11-month-old baby Margaret in her crib in the back bedroom. Sadly, the claims were true. Margaret's arms had indeed been cut off, and she was losing fluid quickly. Margaret was rushed to the hospital while officers interviewed Dina. Dina showed absolutely no emotion during her interview. She admitted to cutting off her baby's arms with a dazed look in her eyes. Apparently, Dina saw this story on the news about a lion attacking a young boy and took it as a sign of the apocalypse. God then commanded her to cut off the arms of her baby, and she obeyed. Dina also said God told her to cut her arms off after that, which is why she had the wound on her shoulder. During her interview, Dina was praying. She said, "Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord." She was also humming church hymns. It's so messed up. As for Margaret, it was too late to save her. Not only were both of her arms completely severed at the shoulder, but Margaret also had over 50 wounds on her face.
That's somewhat of a horror story, man.
These serial killers got caught because of stupid mistakes they made. And I cover all sorts of true crime and spooky stuff here, so make sure you follow along. Dennis Rader was a prolific serial killer in Kansas from 1974 to 1991. He was called BTK, which stood for Bind, Torture, Kill, because that's what he liked to do. But he also liked to taunt the police. He would send the police letters signed BTK, which could not be traced back to his real identity. So in the early 2000s, he had been dormant for over 10 years, but he still liked to taunt the police. And the early 2000s also brought new technology for communicating. So BTK, being the mad genius he was, wrote a letter to police asking if he sent them a floppy disk, would they be able to trace it back to him? And the police answered this letter basically saying, no, we totally can't do that. So BTK sends the police a floppy disk, and there's metadata on this floppy disk that says the last edit was done by someone named Dennis at Christ Lutheran Church. And then a 10-second Google search showed police that Dennis Rader was the president of the council at Christ Lutheran Church. Afterwards, the police basically came out and said that if Dennis had just kept his mouth shut and kept murdering, they probably would have never caught him. Let me know if you want more of these, because there's some other idiots out there.
He was doing it for 10 years. New technology gets introduced. He tried to taunt them again, man. I never got that concept. You do like something that horrific and then you just want to taunt people for it. They basically lied, kept saying, no, we can't track you, knowing that they could, and that led to his downfall. Hubris. I wonder how many other freaking people got caught because of that. Got too confident.
I wanted to kill my mother since I was 8 years old, and I'm not proud of that. A month later, I'm up living with my grandparents in the mountains, and 10 months later, I murdered them. It made it worse to be on top of a mountain. I was literally on top of a mountain when it happened. And I sensed everybody in the world just stopping what they were doing, turning around, saw what I did, and are coming to get me. And I knew I was paranoid at that moment. I knew anybody that came up there and gave me a funny look or a fishy eye or quizzical look, I'd have blown their brains out thinking they were coming to get me. And if it had been in a city, I would have been a mass murderer at age 15. I would have killed until they gunned me down. I wouldn't have been able to reason my way out of it. I was scared to death, and I was violent. I felt my back hit that wall. I was the rabbit that always ran, that always backed away, always burned his bridges. Suddenly there weren't any more, and my back hit that wall, and I came out screaming and kicking and shooting.
That was really dark.
Now, a lot of people have been tagging me in this video, so I'm here to explain the backstory to this whole thing. This is the case of Lauren McCluskey. Now, the girl you see in this video was a 21-year-old college student in Utah. On October 22nd, 2018 at 9:55 p.m., she was found dead in her dormitory. She was shot 7 times. That afternoon, her ex-boyfriend waited for her outside her dormitory for had scholarships to choose from. Like and follow for more.
So what happened? Was it... That's not horrifying. I've been at the Appalachian Mountains.
The woman was not dead. Miraculously, she survived just unimaginable. Her name is Charla Nash. Charla almost always covers her face with a hat and scarf. She wears it, she says, because she doesn't want to scare people.
Carla Nash. To go on to that story. Says she doesn't want to scare people. What happened? Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support. You guys, make sure you comment on the video down below. Hit that post notification bell, man, to always get notified when I upload my next video. You guys are going to catch you in the next video, Seekers. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.